during the day.
They poured the what?
The concrete. Do I have time for a fag, or are we going live?
We're actually live now. Good evening and welcome to Broadsheet on the Telly. For our American viewers, Vanessa was referring to a cigarette.
I was not. I don't smoke.
You're very welcome to join us, and particularly to Broadsheet commenters, readers, and trolls. Actually, maybe not you guys this week. We're just being a little bit heavy. No, you're very welcome. A big thank you and welcome. Sorry, I just want to do my the doorbell thing, which I haven't got ready because we haven't got a producer tonight. We were missing Neil. So
sack him.
Well, he's definitely been docked pay. Oh, hang on. Oh, sorry. Okay. This is not working out. Okay.
Come back, Neil. Hashtag.
Let's do. Do you remember the doorbells in the 70s, John? They were the theme from the La Viva La España. Ding 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 ding.
Hang on. Here we go. Hang on.
It's like Close Encounters.
Who's at the door? Oh, hello. It's Alan O'Reilly, the Carlo Weatherman. Hello, Alan.
How are you doing, John?
Hello, welcome. Welcome to.
Thank you.
This is the level of tech that we got going down here, Alan.
Alan, you're the Carlo Weatherman, so called because you're from Carlo and you're a weatherman. But you're based in Tullow, and your predictions out, your forecasts are better than the Norwegian guy and the guy with the wink and the other guy.
Jerry Murphy.
Yeah.
Jerry loves his slate. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that, but yeah, I enjoy doing a bit of weather forecasting and tweeting and a few Facebook posts, and I have a weather station in Tullow that updates the carloweather.com website every 60 seconds. You get to see the temperature and the details live from the garden in Tullow, along with a few webcams. So yeah, it's been a bit of crack really, but it's been a busy year for weather. Storm Emma and snow and all that fun, and now we have this weather, which, funnily enough, I hate, but everybody else seems to like it. So
yeah, we're going to get to that, Alan, because you look quite pale. Have you even seen the sun this year?
I try to hide this from the sun, to be honest with you. I have skin that goes white, red, back to white again. And also, of course, there is this thing called skin cancer, which is, I know, something that we don't talk about a lot in Ireland. But,
fake news.
I have relations in Australia that think people that sit out in the sun are crazy. But yeah, no, I try and avoid the sun at all costs.
Now, this is kind of an Australian type sun, isn't it, that we've got? Did you predict this, Alan? Or did Carlo Weather predict it?
Yeah, it was pretty well. I'd say the models had a kind of good handle on it for about 2 weeks beforehand, so it was easy enough to see that it was a hot spell coming. The longevity of it, maybe not so much. So yeah, it was forecast pretty well. I kind of go into the speculative area, so beyond the kind of 5 to 7 days that Aaron won't go beyond, I kind of dip my toes in every so often when the weather charts are showing something interesting. So the hot spell was kind of forecast a good bit in advance, all right. But the longevity of it, probably not really, because it was hard to see that. And it's hard to see beyond 10 days. But apart from the farmers' tears, there's not going to be much rain coming for the next 10 days.
But there will be rain, won't there?
There won't be really for the next 10 days, no. Very little, if any. Yeah.
But what's the story with these clouds? Don't they produce rain? I mean,
well, certain clouds produce rain, but they have to get heavy enough to produce rain.
Sorry.
No, I'm curious about that as well. I thought it was going to rain. It looked like it was going to rain today here in Longford, but nothing happened, and I was curious.
Yes. So we didn't really have rain producing clouds, if you want to keep it that way.
Right.
But we will get some showers, but they'll be very hit and miss. And to be honest with you, they'll kind of disappear as quick as they arrive, if anything. So it's going to get really hot for the weekend, back up to 28, 29 degrees, especially in the southeast, the sunny southeast, because it is the sunny southeast. We own that name. It'll be a lot cooler a bit. Well, it'll still be warm, but it'll be a lot cooler in the north of the country. So head east and south if you want the sun and the heat this weekend. But it's going to be a good weekend pretty much everywhere. And then it'll cool down a small bit maybe around the middle of next week, but still staying fairly dry. And when I say cool down, it's still going to be over 20 degrees, which for Irish people in the summer is like, yay!
This is incredible.
But yeah,
this is like
it is.
Yeah, 76 or 75 or even was 95 the last big one for us in Ireland?
95 was probably the last good kind of long, prolonged summer dry spell. I remember that summer as a teenager being forced to make hay on my uncle's farm, and it was hot. But 75, 76 was kind of the last big drought that we had that we're kind of heading towards. Where people's wells ran dry and there was water shortages and animals dying and crops failing. Because people hate when you put a dampener on this good weather. They're like, let's just enjoy the good weather. We're going to have crap weather for long enough. And that is true, but we do need water, funnily enough. So obviously we have a hosepipe ban coming in tomorrow that's going to spoil everyone's fun. But sadly, we had like...
Sorry, Alan. The ban isn't in effect already? No, it's coming into effect tomorrow.
It's in effect in the Greater Dublin area, which is what all the media care about. But for the rest of the country, it's coming in tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. So will you be able to water plants and things and
not with a hose, but with a watering can?
Oh, okay. Yes, so lots of trips to the kitchen and.
Yeah, it's basically don't leave a hose running.
Okay. Unless you're well protected from your neighbours.
Yeah, or you have your own well, and then you can run your well dry, and then probably the neighbour's well dry. But yeah.
Sorry, Stephen, I beg your pardon.
No, I was just up there. I don't think we haven't got much of a scare going on in Longford. I was up the town tonight, and there's a festival going on, and there's a thing called Zumba? It's where you fill a massive pool, and then you fill these inflatable balls and throw kids into the inflatable balls and release them into the swimming pool. Oh. So the fire brigade was filling that pool tonight.
Oh, that sounds great fun.
Well, I suppose it's tradition. You can't stop a tradition for just because there's a drought.
I don't listen to Joe Duffy, man. And today I keep the radio on sometimes just as a kind of clock. To know where I am.
Sorry, Stephen, can I just stop you there for 1 second? I didn't even introduce you, Stephen Garland, and celebrity accountant Vanessa Foran.
And Pip.
I beg your pardon?
And Pip.
And Pip. Oh, and she's a Pip as well.
What's a Pip?
A personal insolvency practitioner.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
If you go bankrupt, she helps you.
Yes.
Stephen's.
You have to come through me.
Stephen's also a Pip. The M is silent. It's hard out there, isn't it, for a Pip?
Okay. Are you talking to me now, or are you talking to Stephen, John?
Which Pip? You're mixing up your Pips.
Stephen, you were talking before I interrupted you. Sorry. Anyway, hello to Vanessa and Stephen.
Hi, everyone.
We're also expecting Johnny. We're also expecting a couple of surprise guests as well. Sorry, Stephen, continue.
No. I was remarking on Joe Duffy, which I never partake in as a listener, and but today I caught it, and it was about they had a big story rolling about in Lidl they're selling swimming pools and
sold out.
Oh my goodness! Another person that doesn't read Broadsheet, John.
Yeah,
Stephen doesn't. No, Stephen doesn't.
It's terrible.
We had that up on the site, but Alan, would you be opposed to? Do you think that there's a drought? I mean, are we literally running out of?
We have officially an absolute drought now. So we've had 15 days without rain. More than 0.2 millimeters of rain. So we've had 15 days of that at a good few stations, including Carlow, including Dublin Airport. So Dublin Airport has had one of the driest spells in I think about 40 years. So it got, I'm just trying to pull up the stats here, but it got less than 5 millimeters of rain in June, which obviously, it's not a lot of rain. But May was also pretty dry.
Very dry,
so we only had about 19 millimeters of rain. So if you combine May and June together, the amount of rainfall that was recorded in Dublin Airport was exceptionally low. But we do have an absolute drought, as it's officially known now, because we've reached 15 days without it. Yeah, so we had 4.8 millimeters of rain in Dublin Airport in June, and just 19.1 in May. So if you take it, that's 2 months with less than 25 millimeters of rain. If you compare that to last year, we had 86 millimeters of rain in June.
Okay.
So and Met Éireann have these agricultural graphs that they use. Soil moisture deficit is called, which is showing that the fields are 90 millimeters below normal. So it would take 90 millimeters of rain to bring the fields in the southeast of the country back to normal levels. So we're about 90 millimeters below our normal rainfall. So river levels are getting low, reservoirs are getting low. The water crisis won't really be a problem it'll be another couple of weeks. But if we don't see any significant rainfall for another couple of weeks, then we are going to start to see problems. And the people that are saying, we'll get rain, or can it not rain at nighttime, etc., will go to the tap and the tap will be dry, and then they'll go, oh, what the absolute F is going on here? But if we don't conserve water now,
sorry.
What I was saying to people was, if the government turned around, say 3 months ago, and said to everybody they were going to put an extra €100 on everyone's property tax to pay for reservoirs, they would have been laughed out of the door, because we get so much rain, we don't need reservoirs, except for when this happens, which is once in a 20, 40 year event. So it's not anybody's fault as such. It's just, this is an abnormal situation. Obviously, all the leaks and all the water that's wasted in the ground is a waste of water. But they're going to have to look at increasing the. At the moment, the problem is demand. Actually, funnily enough, it's not that the reservoirs are low. It's that the amount of water that's being produced by the systems that produce water is not meeting the increased demand, because you have and also people get thirsty in hot weather, and not just Bulmers, but also water has to be drank.
Yeah, well, I've been trying to say that to Johnny, but Johnny Keenan is going to join us later, isn't he, Vanessa? I think he's down at the Bear Festival, or up at the Bear.
Oh, is he? Yeah. Is he? Yeah. Okay.
In Boris. Sorry,
that's Carlo.
Oh, in Boris, in County Carlo. Yeah,
very
at the bottom of the county. Yeah.
Can I ask? Can I ask a question there? You know, all these storm chasers, and have you done that? Have you done the whole tornado chasing and Eye of the Storm? And
no, I have been tempted to sign up to some of those.
Same
US
here
trips,
actually. Yeah.
But they're quite expensive, and I do follow a good few of them, and sadly 2 of them lost their lives actually this year. So that put me off a little bit. I'd much rather snow. Snow is my thing. So I want to go to Japan, because that's where the deepest snow in the world is normally.
In the island, Sapporo.
Up in the mountains. But I've gone snow chasing. Yeah, the top of Lugnaquilla.
Oh. Okay.
During the snowstorm, it's quite good crack actually.
Good Lord.
Yeah, so if I can't get snow on lower levels, I go to the mountains looking for it.
Sorry,
looking for snow. Did you watch the movie Hurricane Heist?
No, actually, no.
Oh, you should. No. John loved it.
Okay, I may do that.
I don't think I saw it. I'm sure it involves The Rock, though. Does it, Vanessa?
No.
Oh, okay. Alan, you say that Met Éireann can't go beyond 5 days with their forecasts.
Yeah.
But you can. I mean, how far do you go?
Well, it's not that I can. I can speculate. They can't speculate. So they can't say it looks like it could happen, as where I can say that. So before Storm Emma, when the big snow was coming, the beast from the east, as they call it, was showing up in the weather models. So for about 2 weeks out, I was kind of posting on Facebook and Twitter saying there's a very good chance of extreme snow coming. Now, that may not have happened. As it turns out, it did happen. But Éireann can't forecast things that may happen. They have to be a little bit more accurate than that, because obviously they're the National Meteorological Association. That's where I'm a guy posting on Facebook and Twitter. I can kind of say what I want, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're a really growing reputation. I mean, over the last number of years. I mean, you're regular, as Vanessa said, on Liveline. You constantly like the Beast in the East. You were 2 weeks. Okay, you were 2 weeks ahead of them of Met Éireann in terms, but they can't speculate. So you were out on your own anyway. But
yeah,
they Maverick.
You were total, but they didn't even come in 5 days before. They didn't predict the Beast from the East until about 2 days before, did they?
They were hinting at it, but they probably weren't giving it the kind of extreme kind of, oh my God, it's going to really be crazy snow kind of meaning, because they have to be reasoned. There's a famous story where they predicted snow, I think it was back in the 90s in Donegal, and there was actually a court case taken over it because the snow didn't materialize. So they do have to be careful in terms of predicting events, especially this whole weather warning system that a lot of people give out about. They'll only typically do that 24 hours in advance, because they need to get those right. Because if they issue a red weather warning, 3-4 days in advance, and then it doesn't materialize, they're going to look rather stupid. So they'll only typically do weather warnings 24 hours in advance. They will do weather advisories.
Isn't it better, Alan, like Michael Fish, isn't it better to make yourself look stupid and just predict something, like he was downplaying what he said, there wasn't going to be a hurricane, and then the whole place blew up the next morning.
Yeah, he said that somebody had rang the Met Office and said there was going to be a hurricane, and he laughed and joked.
It was an Irish. It actually, no, I remember this. It was Irish people that were ringing their relatives, were saying, "Oh, you're getting hit with a hurricane," and they rang. And he actually, one of his bulletins had said to the Irish, telling people we're going to have a hurricane. Say my mother was ringing my aunties. Or my nana. My nana would have been ringing her kids, saying, "Jesus, there's a hurricane."
They never
missed.
But
there was several people killed in that wind event that arrived.
We was quite. I mean, we didn't get the brunt of it at all. They really got the brunt of it, didn't they? On that occasion.
They did, yeah, they really did. Unlike we typically, like Ophelia, Darwin, we typically take the brunt. So we normally take the sting out of those systems, because they come up the Atlantic. They hit us, and then they kind of scout up across the northwest coast and normally tail off towards Scotland. But the very odd time you will get one that will come in kind of through the Bay of Biscay and up towards the UK, and they'll get a direct hit. So yeah, that was one of those events. But yeah, like again, Hurricane Ophelia was a really rare event as well, and that was something that I was tracking from the National Hurricane Center in Miami. And I actually went to a talk that somebody from the National Hurricane Center came over and did with Met Éireann. It was really interesting. But they're very good at kind of updating like charts and producing forecasts, and they're quite good on social media as well. Now, Met Éireann are catching up on the social media thing, but they're still not really, they're not very prominent on it. And I guess that's kind of where news comes nowadays. Like most people don't wait for the 6 o'clock news or the 6 o'clock weather forecast for their news or weather. They're kind of, they're on their phones and their tablets all day. So social media. So that's kind of why I suppose I've got some kind of more publicity as well, because I tweet and Facebook post a lot. And again, I'm not a meteorologist. That's the other thing. Like, it's just a hobby for me. Yeah. So I kind of bring it down to a kind of an ordinary man speak as it comes as well. So I don't get highfalutin with loads of classic weather terms that people won't understand. Well, when you say there's going to be a shit ton of snow, people kind of understand that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, what is a warm front exactly? Tell me, am I going to be warm in that front?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Like,
no, I mean, but with Carlow weather. Firstly, you're based in Carlow, but you can you cover the whole of Ireland. I mean, you're not specifically like.
There's a thing called the internet.
It's Tullow.
No, but I mean, your sophisticated equipment. It's not based at Dublin Airport. It's based in Tullow. What's it doing? Is that?
Well, that's okay. Yes, so that's the weather station that records the weather. So that tells me what's happened, and it shows me what's happening right now. But most of the forecasting is based on computer models that are widely available on the internet. And loads of people, if you go onto like Broadsheet.ie, there's a weather forum there, and there's any number of weather people that will post comments on the weather charts. But they're kind of, there's the GFS, which is the American model, and there's the ECM, which is the European model, and then there's loads of other weather models. So people kind of look at those and give predictions. And it's about kind of looking at all of those and giving a forecast. So I can do that from pretty much anywhere. Now, I do kind of stick to Carlo, to be honest with you, on the Facebook posts, because I know people give out about like the weather forecasting in Ireland, but you can get literally 3 different seasons on the island. Yes. So when it comes to major events, I'll cover kind of all the country. But to be honest with you, most of the time I'm concentrating on Carlo. And even it's funny that you mentioned the Bear Fest in Boris, because I have a follower from Boris, who will often message me and say, you said it wasn't going to be rain. You keep forgetting about the south of the county. It rains down here when it doesn't rain up where you are. Right. So even in Carlo, it can be different from north to south. And we're the second smallest county in Ireland.
And Alan, I don't want to sort of overhype it, but don't you get farmers ringing you and saying, listen, any idea of what's going to happen in August and all that?
Yeah, I do. Kind of like around the time of the hay, like, can I cut the hay? Is it going to be? I have a lot of farmers messaging me at the moment looking for rain and looking for any kind of hope. Like I had somebody out the road message me last night that they're talking about spending a serious amount of money on irrigation system. And they wanted my opinion as to whether they should buy the irrigation system or whether we're going to get rain. So yeah, it's funny. It's funny how I suppose ordinary people can't ring Met Air and get an opinion. So they're just looking for somebody else to have an opinion. And to be fair, the majority of farmers are actually probably better at weather forecasting than a lot of people because they follow it and they see it.
Our sailors, our fishermen.
Indeed.
Yes, exactly.
Or even their animals, Alan. I mean, they'd sense it. They'll predict a hurricane before, or like a tsunami before a tsunami. They'll run up the mountains before an hour.
I wouldn't go into Donegal Postman and start trying to predict what's going to happen next winter based on the animals heading up the hills or anything. Yeah. But in a short term, on a very short term basis, yeah. But I suppose
don't knock it,
Well, he did predict the snow there, didn't he? In 2010, the massive snow dump, and
Alan did, yeah.
And Evelyn said, well, we use very scientific information, and suddenly there was like 70 tons of snow dumped in Dublin Airport.
It's like Dermot Ferreter with they're the amateur historian, but they're like, sorry, it's,
she actually got a bit snippy with them, didn't she? She got a bit snippy on whatever broadcast. Like he didn't deserve to be addressed the way he was, actually. But
who Alan was?
No, the Donegal Postman. She was kind of mocking him and saying that they have all this, very expensive scientific technology and instruments, and she was, very, accomplished lady and had a degree in maths and whatever. And there was an element that she was looking down her nose on him, all right, But
I'm sure she's a nice person, but whenever she says the weather, it's almost like you've kind of gone into a friend and said, "Do you know what the weather's going to be like?" "No, I don't know." "Okay, I don't know. It's probably going to rain." And then it's
well, I'm wondering during the very bad
and how about in the afternoon? Oh, geez, the afternoon as well. You want to know?
I'll give you something funny. During the really bad snow, she was doing there's a weather bulletin at about 3 minutes to 8 in the morning. And they went to her and they had to go, "Evelyn? Hello, Evelyn?" And next minute you hear, "Yeah, yes."
Oh, God, poor thing. I really like the Norwegian guy, although I don't particularly, he's such a lovely voice that I'm sort of hypnotized into not hearing about if ever, even if there's a storm coming, he's like, and it's hurdy-gurdy. It's just lovely, kind of melodic, and But I'm not sure. Like, they come over here and they're teaching us about the weather. I don't know what's going on here.
But wasn't there an Irish guy working for YR.no for a while that was updating the Irish radio stations?
The big app comes from Norway, no? What's the biggest
YR.no?
No, Acton or something.
AccuWeather?
Yeah, AccuWeather. That's Norwegian app.
No, that's US.
Is it?
YR.no is definitely Norwegian.
Now,
Yeah,
Alan,
the YR.no is a big one, yeah.
Alan, talk to me about donations now. How can we help Carla Weather? You take PayPal.
Carla, John. It's Carla.
Buckets.
Carla Weather.
Carla.
I'm trying to say Carla.
Carla.
Okay. Carla.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I have donation button on the thing, but as I say, it is a hobby. Now, I don't kind of look for. I do sell a calendar locally. I take a lot of photographs throughout the year, so I have sold a calendar for the last couple of years. I have a drone that I take some kind of nice pictures of the beautiful places in Carlow that people have never seen.
Brilliant.
So that's it. But to be honest with you, it is a hobby. I do it for the fun. I don't do it for money because you'll never make money out of weather. That's for sure.
You won't. Well, tell that to the Norwegian guy because he's on a good earner there. So the Met, tell me about the Met Erin people. They're like the cool kids or something. They won't.
Well, they're the scientists.
They're kind of mean. The mean girls. They won't. Are they? Do they pick on you, Alan?
No. To be fair to Joanna Donnelly, she's actually very friendly and she's much more ahead of the rest of them. She's very good on social media, on Twitter, and she's great fun. To be fair as well. She doesn't take herself too seriously or the weather too seriously, but she's very good at getting the message across. So to be fair, Joanne Donnelly is probably very, very kind of easygoing. Some of the rest of them do come across quite distant, but I guess they're trying to be serious. You know, they can't be lighthearted and joke about things that are going to affect people. But yeah, if you go onto Boards.ie, like when the weather forecasts come on, like as I said to you, Jerry Slate Murphy, as we call him, because like it could be going to snow 10 feet, and Jerry will say, and it's going to be sleet with a chance of snow. But it's always like, it's just like, not going to say the snow word. I'm going to say sleet. And if it snows, well,
he's on the fence.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so RTE, even with the weather. It's insane. So one second, you know it's going to snow, but he'll go sleet.
Yeah. And as you say, some of them do come across quite kind of annoyed by extreme weather. I think they kind of get like, more media hype, more people talking about weather, as where to them it's just another day in the office, really, I suppose. Do you know? But like they have to there's a serious job, to be fair to them. But if you follow Joanna Donnelly on Twitter, she's very good and she's good crack, and she doesn't take herself too seriously either.
I like Siobhan.
Siobhan's very friendly. She's very nice too. Yeah.
But the lads always have something better to look at. I mean, Jean Byrne there. Her dresses. I have no one to look at.
Vanessa, but we were just talking in terms of meteorological ability, weren't we?
Is that right? Well, I can tell you now, there's a certain website, it's not Broadsheet, that I've been known to frequent, and they have a theory that the tighter the dress,
no, stop,
the worse the weather. And if it's a leather dress,
yeah, but
if she's in the leather,
yeah, but enough, Vanessa. Enough about Gerald Fleming. I mean,
he's retired, hasn't he?
Too late.
No.
I've been super curious about this. What, like RT? What's with all the zips? There's so many zips on all RT. Like, is there just?
It's fashion. It's the fashion.
The style.
Maybe it's for quick changes, quick wardrobe changes.
Yeah, maybe. There's a good reason.
Well, the meteorological equipment, little sort of tell us things, bits and bobs you'd need to sort of.
Very, very advanced scientific instruments.
Alan, you've been doing this since 2010, but the machinery, the sophisticated technology that you use, has that been in place since 2010?
I put the weather station in 2008, and then I upgraded it kind of the end of 2008. So I kind of bought a cheap weather station to see what it was going to be like, and then I upgraded it. And then because I work in IT, so my day job is IT. Right. I set up the website and got it updated every 60 seconds and stuff. So I work for Black Knight. I should probably give a plug somewhere along the line.
My website's with you.
So isn't everybody's?
That's true, yeah.
Not mine.
But not Broadsheet.
Black Knight are hosting people, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, hosting and domains and clouds and all things tech.
Yeah, we're with
It's recoverypartners.ie.
with celebrity. Okay, we're with hosting. We're with Hosting Ireland.
Yeah, I know them well.
Kind of a rocky relationship. We don't want to talk about it.
They're good people. They're good people. They're good people. I know them well.
Yeah, they're good people. They really are.
Yeah.
Well, Alan, can I ask a question?
Sorry, go on, Stephen. Sorry.
No, I'm just wondering. So, what does your weather station consist of? Is it a balloon? Do you have one of these balloons that goes up and?
No, they only actually go in Valencia now, and they don't go as often as they used to. But I have a weather station that consists of a rain bucket to collect rain.
Right.
Then it has a lot of sensors, a humidity sensor, barometer. It also has what's known as a fan-assisted radiation shield over the thermometer. So FARS for short, which is basically plastic layers that stop the sun heating up the thermometer. So last week when I was getting all these people taking screenshots of their phones and of their dashboard in their cars and telling me it's 37 degrees in Carlow, my thermometer is a little bit more accurate than that because it has these radiation shields. Then it has a little fan chamber that the air gets sucked up through, so you get a proper air temperature. So it's kind of like a fancy thermometer, basically. And then I have a wind vane and an anemometer for measuring wind speed and wind direction. So it's not it's about €1,400 worth of equipment.
What does the balloon? What does it measure again when this? Because they're still sending a balloon up all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, from Valencia. So they send up for what's called sounding. So basically that's to see the different, as it goes through the different layers of the atmosphere, what's happening basically at the different layers of the atmosphere. And it does send back quite a lot of data. It's actually really, really impressive.
How high do they go? They go
to the stratosphere.
Stratosphere, right?
Yeah.
And they're just sending the signal back.
Yeah, that's it exactly. Yeah, there was a group a couple of years ago sent one up from Ireland and tracked it using GPS, which you have to be very careful with the wind speeds because depending on the upper winds, you could let it off in Cork and it could end up in Scotland. So you need to kind of pick your weather.
Guess it's a clear night,
Yeah. Or if it hits the jet stream, it'll end up. At the moment, the wet stream is way north of us. But if the jet stream is over us, it could. At the moment, he has a jet stream up over Iceland. Thankfully, they can keep it, because he's going to get all the rain that we should be getting this week or next week, I should say.
Alan, could you give us a forecast in the style of a RT weather person, a long-term forecast
on the fence?
Do you have a map of Ireland there that you could stand in front of?
I don't, but let me see if I can pull up.
Do you remember the ones that years ago they had it was like the old buntoos and they'd be sticking the plasters onto the Velcro on?
Yes.
They were.
That was proper weather.
Proper Michael Fish stuff. So.
Okay. So we're going to have really.
One second, Alan. Sorry, I just got to introduce it. Just got to do it like a news.
All right. Okay.
And we're going to go to the weather now with Alan O'Reilly in our Carlow studio. Alan.
Yes, thank you, John. So at present we have a very settled spell of weather, and this will continue into the early days of next week, with absolute drought conditions now taking hold across many stations in east and southern areas and also the Midlands. And if we look ahead, we will see temperatures tomorrow in southern areas up to 24 degrees, which is 1 degree below the 25 degrees required for a heat wave, meaning that the heat wave will officially end tomorrow. However, the heat wave will begin again on Saturday, when we will see temperatures reaching 28 degrees. And as we head through the weekend, it's going to be very high UV levels, very high pollen levels, and very high temperature levels. So generally, everything's going to be very high this weekend.
Well, in Carlow, anyway, I'd say.
Sorry. That's technically brilliant. It was brilliantly presented.
The Maverick weatherman from Carlow.
We have to sign him up now on an exclusive agreement now, John.
Well, whenever the weather gets interesting again, it doesn't get that interesting this often, does it? I mean, it's like
no, it's been a busy year.
This is hard earned, man. This sun, it's been 6-8 months of absolute every day raining and raining and raining. Never a day without rain.
Is there a correlation there between the long winter we had and this beautiful summer?
No.
Not scientifically, but back when we did have Storm Emma, a lot of people said, well, last time we kind of had similar type of, not the snow, but similar type of setup in 2013, that we did have a good summer. So there was some hope for a good summer, and we have so far got a good summer.
There was, because I live in a mobile home in the summer, and I always know which way the winter came from when I get down there to open up, because of the mountain where the green, the slime has built up. And that is the year we had 17 inches of snow in the garden, and all the footpaths froze here in Crumlin. That was a fabulous summer, I remember, because I remember thinking it was like Malibu after the winter we had. That's what I've noticed. Can I ask you a question now? I don't now say it's in my head, but during the last snow, the Storm Emma and the Beast in the East, well, I think people just blended the two of them. So, but my hair was weird. Like, it felt weird, and it was like.
No, you're asking me. Look.
No, I know, but does like the pressure that whatever that snow comes with that weather, humidity, does that affect your hair?
Humidity affects your hair.
Yeah. Humidity and pressure. A lot of people get headaches when the pressure.
I've had comedians where their hair is grown during a gig. A girl, brilliant comic, famously Sarah Kendall, and she's got red, kind of very fuzzy hair. And in Madrid is famous for its dry climate. And I even would be down there going, "Wow, look at my hair, look at my hair." But then you go down to Barcelona, and the whole thing turns into it's Barcelona hair.
Oh, so that's on the coast, though.
Yeah, so it's humidity.
Vanessa,
well, it was mad, because remember we did the show that night, and like I'd push it this and they would stand that way, and I don't know, it was weird.
Right, from the heat and stuff. But the temperature and the sort of intensity of the sun, like as we say, this is like once in a generation, isn't it, Alan?
Yeah, well, we normally get the warmer temperatures in July and August, when the days are not quite as long, because obviously we just had the summer equinox. So the longest day of the year was only a week and a half ago now.
It was live on here.
But yeah, so you're getting like 12 hours of sunlight at the moment. So when you have that high pressure like we had last week, when you have no cloud whatsoever, there's no real escape in the sun. So yeah, like the amount of red people I saw. I was down at Hook Lighthouse camping out at the weekend, and there was a guy standing on the rocks, and like he was actually, I have a salt cellar. He was that.
God,
that's what he was. He was so red. It was.
That's a weatherman prop.
I mean, how do you stay out of it? Like this is me. I'm like pink. I get pink, pink, and then it goes sort of pink, darker pink.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what, John? Show us your white bits, and we'll measure the pink to white scale.
Behave yourself, Vanessa.
I give you a funny one. Can I give you a funny story? I was lying back on this. Well, it was lying back on these benches, right? And I was lying back on it the other day, and I was kind of nodding off. And then I was in shorts, and when I got up, my belly hit the buckle of my belt, and I got a blister on my belly. I'm not showing you.
What an image.
But it reminded me of 76. I was in Dagenham at the time, and I remember anyone that knows Dagenham, they know Lays. And I was walking from one pool to the other, and I got blisters all over my feet. My mother had to bring me to the hospital.
From the tarmac?
Yeah.
Good.
Literally going a few meters.
God. So are you okay?
Oh, I'm fine.
There's so many unexpected.
I know someone that.
Whoever got a blister off the buckle of there, just the heat. The minute I kind of sat up and my gut fell right back on top of the belt. It's just.
You take jeans out of the dryer too quickly, or put them on too quickly out of the dryer, you got a little blister there. But then
be more careful.
Just top.
Oh well, that's just set up a whole new range of questions.
Sorry, Alan.
Can I?
Yeah, I was just saying, somebody I know in work was out sunbathing and had put sun cream on the front of them and were lying out, but obviously fell asleep and rolled over at some stage, so ended up with red cheeks. Let's just say.
Good heavens!
Good heavens!
Gosh.
The name of my comedy club in Spain is called the Giggling Geary, and it has its logo is a prawn, which is the geary, it's called the geary gamba. Aguirre is like the Spanish word for gringo. It possibly was derogatory back in the day, but now it's quite an affectionate term. But the prawn is there for this. This is what all the Spanish call everybody who come down, particularly in May, when they are particularly white, and then they go onto the beaches and they just burn the life out of themselves. Turn over and burn the other side. So that's the name of my club, the Giggling Geary, and it's got a Geary Gamba. A prawn is the mascot. So how about
that? So they come into the club pink and lobster.
Yeah, look at this. The city will be full of them, particularly in May. But and it's a perennial situation that's been there since ever. And that Geary Gamba is part of the language. It's like it's. I wouldn't know the origin of that term, but I imagine it goes back to whenever whoever Laker or those guys who brought the 1970s package holidays into Spain, they created it.
Yeah, Freddie Laker.
Freddie Laker. There you go.
I was saying, speaking of low budget airlines. Michael O'Leary and the strikes. I just want to go sort of quickly onto that. Or does anybody want to talk about Ryanair and the strikes? I mean, are you booked, Vanessa, for something? Are you, Stephen?
I've booked a few things that I never interfere. I don't believe. I think that Ryanair is the biggest airline in Europe. You know, so everything that it does is a magnified story, and rightly so. So, but I think that one day of strikes, I get caught up in the strikes. Every time the French strike, the air traffic control. Yeah, well, every time they strike, you have a problems with Ryanair, but it's not Ryanair's problems, and they always have sorted it out very well, I thought, and I don't really have an issue with that. So I turned with the Ryanair is an all right airline now. And I don't have any. I used to back in the day when they were assholes, and now I think they're all right.
Okay, well, I don't want to rush onto the Ryanair strike unless.
No, but I think everyone knows what they're getting with Ryanair. And to be honest with you, there is always an airline having one sort of strike or another. If it's not that, it's the air traffic controllers. So.
And they always use the summer. You know?
Well, that's how they make a point, I suppose.
Exactly.
I think it's probably more in our face here because it's Irish and they're headquartered here. Or...
I don't know. I said it last year. I said this is a year of reckoning for O'Leary and O'Brien. Actually, the pair of them. It's the twilight of the.
But hang on now, Michael O'Leary pays his taxes in this country, and I'm pretty sure he wasn't the subject of any tribunal.
I watched O'Brien's documentary, and I've been out of Ireland for quite a period, and I missed a lot of the O'Brien story, in to be that close to it like you are here, and it was something that would come remotely to me, and his positive stuff. When you're out there in the world, you're not getting the Irish hardcore Moriarty tribunal stuff in your face, bang bang every day. You're just removed from it, and I would actually be. Receiving news more about Haiti. I remember Haiti, the earthquake in Haiti. He was a big thing then, and so I can see you're looking down, John.
No,
but you're nearly below your mic, and but last night I was trying to work. I watched that entire documentary, and in the end, I was trying to figure out, I know there's a whole generation of Irish businessmen from them. Even Pat the Bakers in Granard, where I come from, that never let the trade unions in. Never did the same kind of modus operandi.
The unions is actually. I noticed that. I was reminded of that when I was watching it. That the bid for Aircom, when he tried to buy Aircom. And he kind of got all personal with the O'Reillys after because there was the Valencia bid that won. But it was actually the union's vote.
Yeah, that made the difference.
That swung it towards it was. And he then seemed to take it out against the O'Reillys and set out about buying I&M and throwing them out of there. But it was actually the unions specifically that stumped his bid for Aircom and voted for the Valencia bid.
setting in motion his.
No, it was historic. They actually said, and they said it in the show, John. They actually said that his attitude towards unions was something that they couldn't support, obviously, and he had a history of it. And they actually showed the footage of them coming in with the boxes of votes, each county of each branch of the Aircom union, because when Aircom went public, the unions got a huge vote.
Yeah, I remember this.
Percentage of the shares, and they actually, I'm pretty sure, and obviously I'm always open to correction, but I think Dick Spring was their director, was the union shareholders director on the board.
This is 1999 now, isn't it? So Spring was out of back in.
Dick Spring was on the board of Aircom when it went public, and okay. I think the unions were given shares. For the union members were given shares, and that vote, that shareholder group had a seat on the board, and I think it was Dick Spring was their director. Okay. Same way, in one way, the RTE unions have Angus McGreen as their rep on the board as a director.
Okay. Alan, sorry, no, he's not a weather guy, is he? No, he's a newsreader. But he's no longer with RTE.
No, he's retired, but he's still, according to their annual report, he's still a director. But that then was year ending 2017. So.
Okay, sorry. I just want to, before we get into the Dennis thing a bit more, Alan, if it's so great to have you on. Can I just say that? Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant.
And if you want to hang around and talk about Dennis, and we're talking about England in the World Cup and other.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Newspapers.
You really are welcome to stay, and Olga will be joining us. And if I can get the doorbell fixed, we have a couple of surprise guests. So.
Cool.
Can I ask Alan a question before you move away from the subject? Is that all right, John?
Yeah. And also, if anybody in the mosh pit wants to ask Alan a question about whether.
They're too busy chatting amongst themselves, actually.
Fair enough. Okay.
My question is kind of this thing about ambient feeling of heat. I've lived in a lot of different climates. I lived in Natal in northeast Brazil, which is a proper tropical climate. And every day is you get readings on thermometers and everything like that say 35 degrees to say 36. Then I live down in Rio. Rio is another kind of you have a summer there in January and February, and they actually give weather in two different. They'll have a reading for they have two temperatures. The one that they call what you're feeling, and the other one is like
the real feeling.
Yeah, the real feeling and the kind of the temperature that's the official temperature, and they are kind of phenomenally different. And the heats in these different places are quite different, And it's always made a curious thing for me because literally in Natal you can be waiting for a bus. I've been in a bus queue where there's a telegraph pole. And people are queuing behind the telegraph pole because literally you have to use the shade, the width of a pole. That's the bus stop, and it will extend as long as the pole. Everybody's in a diagonal, if you know what I mean. And, because everybody has to preserve. You have to step out of the sun, and there is serious degrees of change. And I've always been curious: what is this ambient feeling, or how is it measured?
Yeah.
It's based on humidity levels and dew point. So dew point is a calculation based on a few different pieces of like temperature, barometer, wind speed. Wind speed not so much, but that's the real feel. So we would more be used to the wind chill effect, which is a similar thing. They call it real feel in America all the time. So if you get like say -2 degrees and there's no wind, it'll feel like -2 degrees. But if you get -2 degrees and you get an easterly wind that's quite strong, then the wind chill, like we had with Storm Emma, could be like 5 times that. And similarly, when you get the high humidity levels, normally in hotter climates, the real feel will increase. So like I've been to Miami where it's hot, but it's not any hotter really than what we had last week. But the humidities are in the high 90s. So if you walk like 4 blocks, your shirt is literally stuck to you with sweat. Where like we actually had really, really low humidity last week, which was really unusual for Ireland. We had humidity down below 30%. So we had like 29 degrees and 30% humidity. So the real feel of that is basically the temperature, which would be 29 degrees. But if you were to get the humidity up, then it would feel hotter. And it also depends on the wind. So it depends on a couple of different factors. But basically, it's more, rather than the temperature is just a temperature, but the real feel then takes in the wind chill, the humidity levels, and there's a few scientific calculations for the wind chill, but some of it is based on kind of, I suppose, meteorological interpretation. So the real feel can be a lot hotter if you have high humidity and no wind, I guess. Yeah.
Gotcha, man.
Alan, when you've diverged strongly from Met Éireann's forecasts and you've been right, does that happen a lot?
It's not that I'd be right and they'd be wrong. It'd be just that I call it earlier normally, or the odd time there would be some difference. Like there was one forecaster during coming up to Storm Emma, and he mentioned the word rain in his forecast, and I just heard that and I went, where was he getting rain from? Because everything I was looking at was saying snow. So you kind of question yourself sometimes. But I've kind of learned over the years to go with what your gut is. You're not going to get it right. I mean, you're just not. There's always going to be some fella on a hill in some part of Carlow that's going to see a shower where the rest of the county didn't see it. And he's going to say, it feckin' rained in my back garden and that fella said there was going to be no rain, So you're never going to get it right. But normally it's because...
It's a good job it's that Tipperary weather, because you seem to be getting off very politely from the local lads.
Well, I also have the second smallest county, so it's not that hard in fairness.
Alan,
but yeah, it's more normal. Yeah.
Alan, like Evelyn Cusack and the lovely voice Norwegian guy and
Siobhan,
the winky guy, and Siobhan and Yvonne and Joanne. They're like just reading autocue. I mean, I don't mean that they're not meteorologists, but the information is not their information like you.
Oh no, it is.
Well, it is. I think they read charts, don't they? Yeah.
No. To be fair, there are some presenters. So there are some of them like Nuala Carey, who would have been like a Roadwatch and then moved. So she's a weather presenter. So she would present a forecast. But no, like Jean, Jerry, Joanna, Evelyn, John Eagle, they're all meteorologists. They would write their forecasts.
I know, but it's like if you're a newsreader, okay, you're a journalist, but you're reading some blokes or some
you're reporting the news.
You're reading autocue, Yeah, are they effectively are they sitting down at 9 o'clock and going, okay, I'm going to work out what's going to be like tomorrow, and then they go to camera and say it's going to be X, Y, Z. Is that it?
No, I do think they read their own charts. I think they do. Yeah,
they do. Yeah, no, they would have a team though. It wouldn't be just them. So they would have a team of forecasters. But
you wouldn't get one of them going like at 8 o'clock. You wouldn't like Paul Reynolds going to
pick up his copy of the
McCabe's a liar. And then at 10 o'clock, you get... no, but I mean, what I'm saying is like you wouldn't get Fleming...
No, you would get big changes, yeah.
Fleming going rogue. It's going to snow.
You wouldn't get him going rogue.
I don't give a damn what you think.
Well, okay.
That's our Maverick here, John. What are you talking about? This is the rogue weather.
Well, he's not. Yeah. He's the non-mainstream weather, because he's telling it as it is. He's not doing He's not playing it safe. He's not doing the RTE mainstream.
As far as the establishment is concerned.
You're one of us now, Alan.
You are. No more live lines for you. You're our wife.
Well, I know you. But Alan, do you remember when you went on to Liveline and you were kind of calling the change of a storm? I'm not sure was it hurricane. Yeah, that was it. Which one was that? Was Darwin, was it? Because that definitely saved lives, because the way that tracked, they had it up the east coast and it actually tracked up through Kilkenny, didn't it? Up around Naas, Punchestown.
Yeah.
And so that definitely saved lives, getting on and putting the shits up, Joe.
I don't think I take claim for saving lives though, but
no, but you did. You said no, it's definitely tracking up here now, and you're on about the system in the back garden there. I know I've been tracking this now. It's definitely going to take a dirty turn there up around.
And Met were going, there's nothing happening up there.
But see, they would have given their forecast in the morning, and maybe at Well, they have given it forecasted about 2 or 3 minutes to 1.
They did, and they upgraded the red warning, but they upgraded it very late. But the problem, this is where social media comes in. So Met Éireann updating their website to say there's a red warning means nothing to most people, or as you say, the next bulletin, be it 1 o'clock or 6 o'clock, most people. So that's where, like, I was posting charts from weather stations on the southwest coast where they were recording wind speeds that were off the charts, basically. And I was able to say, no, look, there's reports coming in on Twitter, trees down, and like there's been gusts of 140 kilometers an hour. This is worse than had been forecast. I do a lot on local radio, actually, on KCLR, Carlow and Kilkenny Radio. I do be on a lot with them. So I had been on with those as well, because they keep an eye on my, Facebook and Twitter. So they react to it. And again, because they're local radio, they're able to kind of react a bit better than mainstream radio. So it's social media is the future.
Who owns that radio station, by the way?
There's a group of investors.
They're all local lads, are they?
Not all local, I believe, but certainly some are, yeah.
Alan, I saw you've been interviewed by Emer Navrian.
Navrenon? She'll give out to you now to pronounce that wrong.
Sorry, Emer Navrenon. And you were, it seemed to be, their studio is built like a counter where you're up at the counter. You seem to be up at
That was their small studio in Carlow at the time of Storm Emma. They used a small studio they have in Carlow. No, they have fine studios in Kilkenny that I've been in with.
Forgive me. It looked like you were she was a bank teller or something, and it was odd. It was odd, but
she'd love to hear that.
And because there was a rival on that show from Kilkenny, something.
Oh, Niall Dollard, yeah, nice fella. He's a school teacher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are we cool with him? Do we like him?
Oh yeah, no, we're good pals. Yeah. We get on okay. Yeah. He'd be a little bit more shy than I am, so he wouldn't be as forthright in his tweets and maybe going on radio as much. But I have a perfect face for radio, so I'm not afraid of the radio. So
well,
you're not doing too bad there now, Alan.
And does he have the same kind of equipment as you, or does he?
He actually has more. He has similar, but he's also what they call a climatic station for Met Éireann. So he has manual instruments that he has to manually read. So there's actually a really big network of people around the country that manually record weather for Met Éireann. So when they update the weather on their website, and that when they have the list of these weather stations like Oak Park, Shannon, whatever, there's also then hundreds of climatic stations around the country. Some of them would just record rainfall daily, but some of them will record temperature. But you have to manually do it at 9 and 9 each day. So to be fair, back after 2010, Met Éireann offered to let me have a climatic station, but someone would have had to go and read it manually at 9 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the evening. No, it's voluntary. It's voluntary.
It's voluntary. Yeah. It's like me doing the paper. I have to do the papers every night. Nobody cares. You get abused.
I'm nobody.
Do you know what? I always wonder how is it that, like, I always watch the broadsheet for the papers, for the front pages. Yes. And like, there's always more UK than Ireland. And I'm like, why isn't there more Irish papers?
But they don't talk to us, you see.
Well, it's sort of a
the Brits talk to us.
Well, to be honest, actually, the Irish Independent and the Irish Times don't come online really till about 1 o'clock. Well, the Irish Times comes on at 1 a.m, and then the Irish Independent comes on at 5 a.m. And we get the Irish Daily Mail sent to us, and we'll get the Times Ireland edition and the Examiner and the Sunday Times. But the rest we have to go out and
dig out
at 5 a.m. 3 or 4 a.m.
Yeah,
you, like your friend in Kilkenny with the climactic station.
Yeah.
Climactic station, John.
Yeah, careful now.
We're going to have to take John off the air for a bit.
Absolutely.
I've just noticed in the chat bit, they're wondering, do you comment on Broadsheet, Alan?
I do the odd time. Yeah, I've been known to be a political junkie. Oh, I'm not sure actually. I have a few that I use. Sal O'Reilly's one, Villain is another.
Villain, eh? What a maverick.
Yeah. I used to be very
we meet at
politically. Oh yeah. I used to be very politically interested, and I used to spend a lot of time on boards and politics.ie and Broadsheet and all those things. And then I grew up.
So you just park up on Broadsheet now?
Yeah, I do actually use Broadsheet quite a lot. I do read it quite a lot, and I'm often tweeting you pictures of my sunsets and stuff in the hope that you might use them, which you do on occasion, to be fair.
John is very choosy, all right, on the art.
I'm not at all.
It's funny, actually. I'll tell you a funny little story. That's
but you're a contributor now, so your name will go on the wall. All
right, okay. Well, I was at an event during the week, the launch of Summerfest in Carlow, which is kind of a Nathan Carter and kind of summer festival anyway. But a local councillor came up to me and said, "Is it true you're going to run for the local elections?" So I've been kind of active in the local area on a couple of topics, like they were going to build footbridges and change the traffic in Tullow, which was going to be ridiculously stupid. So I kind of led a meeting and a few things like that. So, and because obviously I'm on the radio talking about weather and that, so it seems somebody has told some of the councillors that I'm going to run for local election, which I'm not. I'm not going to run for local election. But it's quite funny that a Fianna Fáil politician thought that
was it Fianna Fáil, or was it?
Oh, yeah.
So you see any celebrity cachet, they'll go to Fianna Fáil.
Yeah.
And they're probably running out of GAA players.
Well, no, but that's a new constituency. That's a new Dáil constituency down there, isn't it?
Well, no, Carlow Kilkenny's still the same, but the local elections, the boundaries have been changed. So Tullow has its own six-seater local area now.
So there's definitely a few seats up there.
And Alan,
there's a few up for grabs, yeah.
You say you were political from, like, was it when the recession hit, that period?
No, back in Bertie's day. I got banned off boards for calling Bertie a liar and trying to post that Bertie was a liar, because I used to spend time reading the transcripts of the tribunals, believe it or not. I used to listen to... I don't know if you remember.
Is it?
Yeah, but do you remember the what was the one with the Abilara? I used to work in Waterford, and I used to be driving home from Waterford, and I don't know if you remember
John
Vincent Brown used to have a show where they used to reenact sections of the tribunals. So I used to listen to that. So I got really interested in tribunals. So then I followed the Moriarty Tribunal, and it was very clear from the evidence that was given and read that Bertie Ahern had, told untruths. But for some reason, people didn't really want to have that line trouted. And then obviously that's what the tribunal found in the end. But so I also kind of was interested in, I had family reasons for health issues with MRSA and hospitals and stuff that really used to annoy me, because my father got quite ill by picking up MRSA in a hospital. So that used to exercise me quite a lot. So I kind of have, I do like to kind of rant and rave at politicians on occasion.
Well, you're definitely one of us now. You're not going anywhere.
What did you feel, Alan? Did you feel that you were just giving a lot of your energy to these people eventually? Did you just feel like, this is like, when you say you were like very, very interested, and following the Moriarty? I mean, we do that, but we do that on the site, and like, for instance, today.
Yeah, no, I've been following your Disclosures Tribunal tweets pretty tightly. I've been reading those. Yeah, it's been really good. So I would still have an interest, but I just don't engage with the lunatics online as much anymore, really.
Yeah, but I think there's also there must be, certainly around the Moriarty. I was reading transcripts. Olga does the live tweeting, but we were going through the transcripts. I was going through the transcripts this afternoon of Paul Williams and Miss D and all that. We're going to talk about later with Olga, but I can see how the fatigue must have set in for you, Alan. I mean, is that what happened to you? You just got sort of sick of the.
It's kind of hard when you kind of see a narrative being portrayed in the mainstream media, and you're reading the actual evidence, and you're kind of saying the story's over here, and you're over here. And what's the problem? Which kind of, and to be fair, that's where Broadsheet is very good, and that's why I would read a lot of Broadsheet, because it's not quite as following that blind, leading the blind kind of. Even though Leo is having a go at the media nowadays, I think most of the political hacks would be better friends with him than say most would realise.
I would imagine the Paul Carr
picks and chooses. Yeah, but Leo picks and chooses who's his friend today, and who he's given the interview, or who he's waving at, and then the next day will be somebody else.
Politician.
He's a player. He's a player.
Can I just say a quick hello to Dermot Bowen, who's in Mission Control. I was going to play a doorbell, but then I realized no, Dermot's actually within he's not a guest. He's sort of like whatever. Okay. Hello, Dermot.
The roof.
The top chat, top chat monitor. Oh my God, look at that. He's got his own weather station there. Look.
Are you there, Dermot?
I am.
Can we see it?
Yep. Hello.
Oh, there's Dermot. Can we see? Can you see him? Hello. How are you?
Before stage
Speak
left.
the show. Okay. Here's,
Wow, look at this
Broadsheet
setup
Central.
here.
That's the deck of the Starship
Broadsheet.
sheet on the telly. Dermot actually collects. You not collect, but you pick up over the years like bits of computers and stuff. So this is a
The broadsheet deck.
hybrid of an Apple, old Apple Mac, a bit of a Dell, isn't it?
Yeah. Poland.
Oh, right.
Oh,
It's
Well, it looks very efficient setup anyway with all those screens around you.
Everything's out of sync.
What's the news from the chaplet? Because I haven't been able to keep on top of it at all tonight.
Dermot, everything's out of sync, isn't it?
There's a few questions. Vanessa there?
Yeah, I'm here. Is somebody asking me something?
Yeah. It's just very slow. It looks...
There's a few questions for Alan.
Oh, we
Can
can't.
you hear me now?
No, Dermot, we can't.
I think all those computers are eating up all your space.
That could well
Their
be.
bandwidth.
Your bandwidth, is that what we're calling it? Okay.
Yeah, that's probably breaking up the band.
Clutching at straws there, Vanessa. Don't worry.
Listen, text messaging. I know how to use WhatsApp.
Dermot, you can hear us okay, can't you? What's happening is that you're just...
Hear you, yeah.
Yeah, what's happening is that you're just a little bit slow. The connection is a little bit slow. So
Second time this week, I've been told that.
we'll just be patient. And you over to you, Dermot.
Okay, there's just a few questions for Alan. Asking, does he comment on Broadsheet? I don't think he's to give his name. And has he any predictions for who'll win on Saturday?
Who'll win on Saturday?
Soccer related.
England, Sweden, is it?
Yeah,
Well,
I did post. I did post a tweet that said that England won a penalty shootout, so literally anything could happen this summer. I was talking about the weather, but the fact that they did actually manage to have the balls to win a penalty shootout was quite interesting. I, for my sins, am an Aston Villa fan, so I'm quite used to losing. And I have two brothers who are Liverpool fans, so I hate Liverpool, anybody but Liverpool.
What?
So when Henderson stood up to take that penalty last night, I said, he's well used to losing, so he's going to miss. And, well...
He buried it.
Yeah. You were like the Michael Fish of the World Cup, kind of. Any more questions for Alan, Dermot?
Not that I'm seeing, but if I do, I'll come back in and let you know.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dermot. There was something else I was going to ask you, but
no problem.
No, well, there was an interesting thing about Mayo GA. There's England are like Mayo GA, a dangerous combination of self-belief and utter stupidity. Every year, every time they think it's their year.
Is that not Liverpool fans?
Yeah.
It's all the nearly men.
Oh dear. That was JTF reality, actually. By the way.
I can only remember John Gregory from Aston Villa, but
Oh yeah, they were good times. Juan Pablo Angel, yeah, good times.
John's delighted now he's someone to talk soccer with.
well, 70s soccer in particular. I guess.
70s soccer.
That's it.
Paul McGrath. Paul McGrath.
Yeah, he's known as God in Aston Villa. They still call him God. You still see people with God on their jersey for Paul McGrath. Yeah,
Paul McGrath, nobody else.
They didn't they win the first division in '89? Is it? No.
The one. They won the Champions League or the European Cup in '81. 1981, I think it was.
Oh yeah, that's
Was
it. That
born.
was it. Yeah.
The year I was born. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
stop it. 1981.
And they won the League Cup, I think, in '76.
John,
They won a few League Cups. Yeah.
Did you watch soccer in the 70s, John? Is it like
I think I was just put in front of a television with soccer on for 10 years, from 1973 to 1982. I fell so much out of love with it. It kind of, when it became sort of, Manchester United became like the Hitler Youth. It's sort of like, remember, the Red Devils had a kind of a cheeky, scamp-like quality, and then, with Ferguson's mob, it seemed a kind of more unpleasant.
Fergie babes. I don't know how you could construe that the babes.
Well, just the constant winning as well I don't think it
doesn't help.
Very appealing after so long,
they're kind of aggressive.
Does Aston Villa have a song?
Yeah.
We're not Birmingham.
What
Villa,
is it?
Villa till I die. I know I am. I'm sure I am. I know I am. I'm Villa till I die.
That's the poem. What's the song?
Well, that's to sing that, but I can't sing, so that's as good as you're going to get.
You see, you're cheating. That's cheating now.
Not a note in my head. I was what we used to call in school a stop singer, which meant I had to mime. I wasn't allowed singing in school. True story.
You were like the special kid.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
True story. Yeah.
And
what makes a maverick weatherman, That's
terrible. And at concerts and everything, you would have to, the families, parents wouldn't realize you were miming. And...
No, there was a few of us though. It wasn't just me, to be fair. There was a few stop singers.
How did that collective look?
It's terrible.
Yeah, and they used to intersperse them into the crowd, so it wouldn't be obvious like that there was 3 or 4 not singing in the background miming. But think about it, we were just ahead of the curve, because like now everybody bloody mimes. Like Westlife and all them started off, so now they all mime. So
Spanish football team.
Well, we don't mime here, so we don't mind. Go on, give it a go.
No.
We don't discriminate. We don't discriminate on Broadsheet. Come on, let's hear it.
Yeah.
Jack, you must know the song.
Which song are we talking about? Oh, the Villa song.
Soccer song.
No, I don't know. I'm forever blowing bubbles. I keep on thinking, but it's not.
That's
that's West Ham.
Yeah. Well, they're the same colours, aren't they? Claret.
Yeah, claret. My favourite colour, claret. Yeah.
Yeah, you're wearing.
Were you wearing it?
Yeah. There you go.
So,
that was actually subconscious, but yeah, there you go.
And any more questions, Dermot, from the mosh pit for Alan? I think that they'd be sort of fascinated with what's the weather. I suppose it's just.
They were calling it some ginger something earlier on. I haven't. Sorry, Chaplet, and sorry, Dermot. I haven't been able to keep up with it at all.
There's been the cakes and Bewleys. They're very nice.
Are they?
There's a ginger apocalypse is upon us apparently, and general soccer talk, which I don't partake in. So.
All right, the ginger apocalypse, is that like the kind of the Prince Harry and?
No, it's that you don't like the sun.
It's you don't let the gingers out in the sun because they might burn and die.
Right.
John loves the sun.
Spare a thought. Yeah,
that'll keep Harry out of the. When is Harry due to arrive?
Where's he going? Is he coming?
Coming to Ireland. Is there going to be a heat wave and risk his pale skin? And
yeah, what is the forecast, Alan?
He was in Afghanistan, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he's coming to Ireland, I believe.
What for? Is he going to your show?
He's not serving.
He's
those days are over now. You know that.
I know that. Yeah.
A crack of the Mick. No, all those days are gone now, Vanessa. He's coming over on a tour with his new wife.
Oh, Megan. Oh, very good. Maybe they're coming to see Michael Flatley's new show.
New film.
They're coming on a Brexit sweetener, no? That's how I understand.
Dermot, do you have the poster for the Flatley movie?
I have it.
Yeah, can we?
I have it somewhere. Sorry, excuse me.
For the Flatley movie.
There's a movie with Michael Flatley.
Wow.
John is in it.
He's directed and he's starring in it.
Of course.
It's Casablanca meets
Glenroe, Bracken.
There it is. It's called Blackbird.
On fire.
It's called Blackbird. It's starring.
Before we start talking about it, we're available for Red Carpet Roundup. the Broadsheet OB crew, we're available for the Red Carpet Roundup.
Well, there'll be dancing on that carpet, that red carpet.
I'd love dancing. It'd be great.
The movie hasn't come out yet, or hasn't. It's still in production, and it's been
fantastic.
It's been.
Can you see that, lads?
I can, yeah, and I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Michael Flatley movie. Come on, this is the biggest thing.
Well, it's Bergen.
I can't wait
Bergen
to
as
see
well.
it.
Patrick Bergen, Eric Roberts, Julie Roberts.
Sleeping with the Enemy.
Yeah,
Patrick Bergen.
But I noticed the shape of the poster. It's very, it's very triad-y, that kind of. It's all triangles. That's what I'm seeing from a distance. He's like with Michael in the center.
Well, it reminded me of the first Bond movie that Sean Connery did.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, and that's the way they set up the.
But, here's the thing: the man he's enormously successful artist.
Yeah,
and he's financially successful. I mean, he must have a huge fan base because he made his money on live performances, didn't he? Really.
Yeah. And they do franchise. He'll franchise the show.
He franchises the shows. That's how he makes his money.
There's
really.
Lords of
Okay. Well, look at he is enormously successful. So I mean, we can't knock it. We'll go to this movie definitely, but what's the funny? Where's the real funny part of this?
I wonder where the tagline is, because we've always had Feet of Fire. I've loved his taglines. Lord of the Dance is like Feet of Fire.
Maybe there is one.
There is
one.
That's what I'm looking for. We can't see
actually
it.
Underneath there, Vanessa, if you can. Anyway,
hang on.
Michael plays
he likes his bull. What is it? The rhino horn?
Stop it. Some things are still worth dying for, apparently.
Yeah,
he's the writer, director, and star.
That's the
he is, yeah.
He's a
that girl. That's back to girl, not Bergen.
Hang on, he's a trouble seeking agent. His name is Blackbird. He abruptly retires from service and opens a luxurious nightclub in the Caribbean to escape the dark shadows of his past.
Boom!
That'd be Gene Butler and Riverdance and all that. An old flame arrives.
It's not me.
An old flame arrives and reignites love in his life, but she brings danger with her.
Oh, look, I'm looking at actually here. There's a better picture on Broadsheet. Some things are still worth dying for. Bergen looks like one of the Russians in one of the James Bond movies, or in Die Hard.
No, that's Eric Roberts.
No, Eric Roberts is doing this.
Wow.
Yeah,
but great. Bergen is in the big grey-haired beard. It looks like the baddie in. Do you know the last Die Hard where he was in Russia with the sun? There's a lot of girls in bikinis there now.
Fatal Deviation. What was the movie? The one, the Irish one, the Fatal.
Here comes Olga. She got a sniff of Flatley, and here she appears.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Hey, Olga.
Hello,
Alan. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Olga. This is Alan. Alan, Olga.
Nice to meet you, Alan. Great fan, big fan. Carla Weather.
Carla Weather. How was that?
That's brilliant.
And Alan saying he's a big fan of the disclosures as well. He's been following the live tweeting, and he said that back in the Moriarty days, he was head deep in the transcripts and listening to Vincent Brown when they did the reenactments on.
Oh yeah.
On his show in the evenings. They
did the voices and stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did it on the radio, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then, but he was just apropos what we were talking about today. Alan was saying that when he was reading the transcripts, he was amazed at the difference between what he was reading in the newspapers compared to what was actually.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow, that's fascinating. I mean, there's so much there, isn't there? Yeah, things haven't changed. I mean, that's difficult. There's just so many
layers.
And then there's 4 or 5 hours of testimony, and a lot of people only are told write 400 words, like us. I suppose we have the luxury of going on forever and then nobody reading it.
But it was like
I think they are. They're reading it.
I know, I'm joking, but you know what I mean. That would turn a lot of people off.
But like the part about the Facebook where Gemma Doherty was tagged in a Facebook post, like how long did it take and how much legal time did it take to figure out that she didn't post something to her Facebook post? It was a tag. Any teenager in the country could have been brought into the courtroom and clarify that in 30 seconds. And yet you have barristers going around, no, you did post that. Like, I don't think I did.
Yeah, the laptop, there was a laptop even given up to the judge at one point to even, to kind of see what was going on. It was quite funny, actually.
Yeah, I was face palming a lot as I read those transcripts. Face palming a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a Carlo thing.
It was definitely an age thing. It was a funny.
Carlo do this thing. It's rising, isn't it? Isn't that what you're doing? Carlo rising.
We won a few GA matches this year.
And last year, you had a great year last year as well.
Yeah, I got to wear a Carlo jersey to Crow Park this year, and we didn't get lost trying to find it either. So that was good.
And one thing, the Carlo lads would never get lost in those jerseys.
No, it's true. We're not Cameroon. We are Carlo. We do have to tell people that. But I'm not sure if you're familiar, John, but we have red, yellow, and green as our colours, and it's very multicoloured. The Carlo jersey.
Think Colombian goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So are you laughed at by the other boys?
Oh, laughed with.
They don't get to meet us very often.
That's mean, Dennis.
Yes, because we've had a great 2 years.
We won the Joe McConaughey Cup.
Huh?
We won the Joe McConaughey Cup.
You did? Yeah.
You
had a great year last year, and then it's come back. You had another great year this year.
Yeah, and I had a few debates with that Joe Brolly fella on Twitter because he wanted to knock us.
He's just a prick. Don't mind.
Wow.
Yeah, whoa.
Olga's the face of shock there, and I'm with her. That's what?
Joe Brolly? Are you telling me Joe Brolly isn't a prick?
What?
Oi, what? I know, come on. I don't know anything about Joe Brolly, but
it's no need to turning the air blue.
Or pricks either.
Can I introduce Dermot? Dermot Bowen
Dermot.
He's in the Broadsheet mission control.
Oh wow! Look at that, 3 screens.
Yeah,
that's why you'll see he's actually in slow motion because of we're over our bandwidth, I think.
He's eating it all up.
It's so funny.
A big hello to. It's like he's on the moon. It's like there's no gravity.
He is. It's like he's in a NASA.
It's like you're
Olga looks. Have to compliment. Looking very summery, Olga. And because honestly, we only
color top.
Yeah, no, we only get the thumbnail, but generally, this is the effect on Irish people. It is fantastic. I don't care about droughts and whatever. I've been here since I came out of a hospital in December 24th, and it did nothing, only rain and horrible every day and grey and horrible stories and horrible stories in the news, one after another. And it went on and on and on. And it's like
it was only a bit of cold.
I'm not just talking about the
Stephen was in Russia.
I'm not just talking about but Russia's fine. You can see how hot Russia is now. People are.
It wasn't in December, Steve. It wasn't in December when you were there.
No, but the point is that it's a continental climate, as Alan would tell you there, and it does one thing in winter and it does the other thing in summer. But that's not my point. But Ireland always did the same thing, and it just became a real predictable thing that we've earned this sun. So get the hell out and enjoy the bloody thing.
Exactly. Stop cribbing everyone.
Yeah, stop talking about it. And
totally. I completely agree with you. I couldn't believe immediately we were ratting on our neighbours for hoses, and well, that was just Vanessa. But I mean, we were.
It's a Crumlin
uptight,
basically. That's a Crumlin thing.
I heard it.
In Longford, they're filling.
I'm living in
pools in the street. They're filling pools in the street for for the what they call.
Yeah, but your water's just coming out of a hole in the ground. Like you.
Stephen's actually in a bath. That's why he's
He's
He's there. Look, he's got pineapples. He's got pineapples on his jersey, and he's wearing this. He's like the man from Dalmatza there in that hat.
Exactly, and it's a psychological thing. And that's why I'm complimenting Olga. It is Irish people, because I haven't lived in this kind of climate for a prolonged period forever, for 25, 20 years. And I can understand in the last 7 or 8 months, this is the most continual period of dreary, horrible, raining, to use the terminology of the weather, scattered showers and sunny spells. This is the gold standard of Irish weather: sunny spells and scattered showers, and this is the way it's been for 8 months. And now we get something. So embrace it. And love
do you know what I call that?
What?
A grand soft day.
A grand soft day. You're as bad as your man. You're on the stand. You're on the fence with that.
He's getting all winky, isn't he? He's all getting all.
Yeah, he'll be doing the hands in the pockets now in a sec.
You're one step away from Jerry Sleet. You know, that's all. It's just a different end of the year. Different end of the year.
He'll be a bit now in a sec. He'll be giving us the turf index.
Alan, we need a catchphrase for you. Perhaps people in the Mosh determined.
The winking weatherman from Wexford. I heard that in, I don't know where in Spain, man, but it resonated in every country I ever lived in. Who is this guy? Who is now? Give us the Carlo one, man. We need.
We need the
girls there, King.
I think it has to be Carlo Rising.
The curvy Carlo.
Yeah, the
Full Horizon.
Bubba Horizon.
Moving to stormier subjects. Olga, any disclosures, tribunal loose ends?
Well, I thought we did a post the day on Michael McDougall's final submission. And remember last week we said that
I'll tell you what, Olga, I'm going to do the papers, so I'm going to be off. But if you chat away, I'll be still listening and then whatever. Yeah.
Okay. So last week we were talking about how Charlton, before the submissions were made, he asked a list of 20 questions, and some of the questions were what happened to the disciplinary investigation into Superintendent Dave Taylor. And also he kind of, before the 20 questions, he also hinted, or he kind of wondered out loud, he said it wasn't his opinion, but he just wondered if Dave Taylor had possibly downplayed his role in any alleged smear campaign. So I suppose just to kind of, Superintendent Taylor is claiming, he's former head of the press office, claiming that he was telling journalists about an allegation that had been made against Maurice McKay back in 2006, which had been completely found by the DPP to have no foundation, but that he was instructed in 2013 by Martin Callan, with the knowledge of Noreen O'Sullivan, to tell this to journalists in 2013-14, when the penalty points crisis or controversy was bubbling over, if you like. So it would have been between mid-2013 and March 2014 when Callan resigned. And the thing about Taylor is that he was under criminal investigation himself at the time that he told Maurice McCabe that he had engaged in this. And he told Maurice this in 2016. And Maurice and him both made on separate days, made protected disclosures. Maurice made his before Dave Taylor. And this is basically what happened. This is why we had the tribunal. But anyway, the thing is that Taylor was under investigation, and he was under criminal investigation. He was arrested in May 2015, and it was in relation to leaking details to the press when he wasn't in the press office. So he was in the press office from kind of the summer of 2012 to 2014. Then he was moved to traffic, and that happened kind of quite soon after Martin Callan resigned or retired. And Noreen O'Sullivan, we saw in a text to Terry Prone, she said that she had him removed at the first available opportunity, which was June 2014. So essentially, in 2014, there was an investigation started into the Roma children. Remember, if everyone remembers, there were stories about Roma children in the press, and there was a children's ombudsman report, and on foot of that report, there was a criminal investigation. So this criminal investigation started And it started looking at Dave Taylor, and then they realized that Taylor, there seemed to be that there was evidence that he was leaking matters to the press when he was in traffic. And so he wasn't in the Garda press office anymore. So there was a criminal investigation, and the investigation was ran by a man called Chief Superintendent Francis Clerkin, and he made a team. When he was appointed by the Assistant Commissioner John Toomey to do this, he had a team around him, and one of the people on the team was Noreen O'Sullivan's husband, Detective Superintendent Jim McGowan. And essentially, they looked into it, and they recommended to the DPP that there be a charge against Taylor. The DPP ruled in February 2016 against a prosecution. So this was like February 2016. He didn't talk to McCabe about what this alleged smear campaign, or about this alleged smear campaign, until September 2016, just to bear that in mind. But then a week after the DPP ruled against the prosecution, the guards actually sent a second recommendation to the DPP and asked the DPP to kind of reconsider and to charge him under a different matter, data protection matter. And this was dropped in February 2017. And a day after that, he went back to work and he started working traffic. And then the tribunal heard, during the proceedings, the tribunal heard that a disciplinary investigation, so there was 2 disciplinary investigations into him during this time, but we never really heard anything about the disciplinary investigation, like literally nothing really, except for the fact that it had been dropped in February 2018. And so I hope everyone's not swimming in dates. I don't hope this is all clear, but when McDougall gave his submission, he went through the kind of timeline of this, or he outlined the different things, and he also was putting it into the records that a lot of what Taylor said to Maurice McCabe, according to Maurice McCabe, and a lot of what he said to other people, such as Mick Clifford from the Examiner, Claire Daly and Mick Wallace, the TDs, Independence for Change TDs, a lot of what he said to them, he claimed he never said when he came into the tribunal. And a lot of other stuff that he had said about the Clerkin investigation into him was also, he backtracked on. I mean, he backtracked on to the point that, like, after he made his protected disclosure in September 2016, so bear in mind, the second DPP's directions came after that, and he went back to work, and then the disciplinary investigation was dropped. He had told, before that time, he had told the tribunal's investigators that he was telling people about this Miss D allegation, and he said he was telling it to them under the sense that there's no smoke without fire. But when he actually was in the tribunal giving evidence, he backtracked on that and said, oh no, that wasn't about that, that was about something else. So he really did, it was quite stark, let's say, right, his evidence, compared to what he said in his protected disclosure and what he said to other people. But he also, within minutes, and I think it was 12 minutes of his first day of evidence, he conceded that he did carry out the communications that he was accused of in the criminal investigation, even though before the DPP ruled against any prosecution, he had gone through something like 18 hours of interview with the guards and just said no comment. So it is curious. I think it's fair to say that's really curious.
Yeah.
So McDougall, and also crucially as well, when Maurice McCabe gave his protected disclosure, he said that he'd been told by Taylor that Taylor had said to him that he had been offered a way out by way of resignation. This is after the protected disclosure. And that this had been done through a legal meeting with the Assistant Commissioner, John Toomey, and legal people. And that this had been relayed to him. And this is what Maurice McCabe told the tribunal. But when Superintendent Taylor gave evidence, he said that this wasn't true. But then his wife said it was true. His wife was able to tell the tribunal that what Maurice said Taylor said to him was true, but Taylor himself said it was not true. So basically, yeah, I mean, Michael McDougall was kind of hinting that there had been a deal done, and without using that word, but he did say, did he come in here as a free man, or did he I can't remember the exact quote, but he basically said that his evidence was so milk and watery because he did backtrack. He couldn't put any details on any time or place or reaction from any journalist that he said he negatively briefed. And also, you know, even the one journalist, we mentioned this last week, Cathal McMahon from the Mirror, formerly of the Mirror, he was the only journalist to come in and say, yeah, I spoke to him, he told me to go up to Cavan.
Yeah.
And he wasn't one of the 11 named. And Taylor said, I did negatively brief him, but I never told him to go to Cavan.
Yeah.
So that was we were saying that was a lifeline for him.
So the allegation in terms of the deal, then his part of the deal would be to what? Just confuse. Is this the allegation that?
Well, like, I suppose there is one has to wonder why disciplinary proceedings weren't made against it, because I mean the DPP ruled, that's fine.
Yeah.
Absolutely no problems there. It's more the disciplinary investigation, why that didn't go ahead.
No, but what I'm saying is the quid pro quo. If you're saying that a deal was done, that was his part of the deal to backtrack. Allegedly, but to backtrack, but also to
cause chaos,
throw out names and
that's an interesting
see where the chips fall.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah,
until John brought it up there.
And it should be said as well. It should be said as well that at the start of his submission, Michael McDougall said that they suddenly had two documents, like as in Morris's legal team, and that the two documents showed, they were about the disciplinary investigation, saying that it was over or dropped or whatever. And the two documents were dated from January 2017. And that's really important because the tribunal had been told it only happened in February of this year, 2018. And the point, McDougall made the point that when Noreen O'Sullivan gave evidence, so bear in mind she only resigned in September 2017, it was said that when she was asked about what happened with the disciplinary investigation, she said, oh, it didn't happen under my watch. It was still pending when I was commissioner. But McDougall's point was, if these documents are correct, it happened in January 2017. It did happen under her watch.
Yes. Yeah.
But I have to stress, Diarmaid McGuinness, McDougall raised them. He said maybe it's a misprint. Diarmaid McGuinness, the counsel for the tribunal, pointed out that one of the letters, at least one of the letters anyway, under the signature actually had the date of 2018. And then at the very end of his submission, Michael McDougall, the Garda Council had a chance to come back, and the Garda Council said, no, it's from 2018. And I think McDougall conceded, okay. But, and also, it should also be said that the judge, when the Garda Council came back to respond to Michael McDougall's submission, he went to say something about this alleged deal. And in fairness to Charlton, he put it out there. He said, if there's any idea about a deal being done, he just said, no, it's not there. So he scotched it there and then.
I know that you were kind of depressed by that a little bit, but I think you.
I wasn't depressed, but I just thought Michael McDougall's submission was because I think a lot of people have been really bewildered by Taylor.
Yeah,
and so
no, I think you were overplaying with what maybe Charlton said in terms of. I think it was just. I don't think he was saying. For instance, he intervened about Noreen O'Sullivan, didn't he, earlier in the tribunal, saying that we've established that is not the case. That she.
He did hint that there was no evidence, and there's no direct evidence of her.
Yeah.
Having engaged in a smear campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all circumstantial evidence anyway. I mean, it'd been out there. I mean, there's no phones and stuff like that. There's no.
That's it. But you know what? Also, with Noreen O'Sullivan, and it's up to the judge to decide. But with Noreen O'Sullivan, her evidence has been so. Just to remind people, she was working in HR in 2008. She was assistant commissioner in HR in 2008. And she heard about the Miss D allegation then because she was in HR, and which was completely legit and everything. But she maintains absolutely steadfastly that she never, ever, ever spoke about Miss D or heard it spoken about in her presence until 2015 before the O'Higgins Commission investigation. And that is incredible because you had so between 2008 and 2015, and that is incredible because we know that back as early as like late 2013, early 2014, before the PAC meeting where Martin Callan made the disgusting comment, within the meetings, the pre-PAC meetings, it's in the notes that the Miss D allegation was spoken about.
Yeah.
Then you had the Paul Williams articles. Then she was engaging Morris, then trying to get him, to help him, look after him. So there was a whole kind of HR thing going on that she was involved in. But not only that, but there was a fake rape allegation put on her desk, shown to her, which the evidence of her secretary is saying, yeah, she saw it, she read it. And that was May 2014. And yet she met Morris within weeks of that, by the way. And she also had also after that rape allegation, false rape allegation was shown to her, there was correspondence between the person who sent it to her, which was the Assistant Commissioner for the Northern Region, I think, Kieran Kenny. And Kieran Kenny was supposedly, there was correspondence between Noreen O'Sullivan's private secretary on her behalf and Kieran Kenny about that false rape allegation. Several letters back and forth about the updating or what they were doing. And she maintains she has no recollection of ever talking about it. Yeah. And curiously, when they realized that the fake rape allegation was fake, and between Kieran Kenny and Jim Sheridan, chief superintendent, they're both retired now, I believe, they had a meeting and they had decided that they were going to do two things. They were going to go to the HSC and they were going to go to the head of legal affairs, Ken Ruan, and the guards. And neither of those two things happened. And yet Noreen O'Sullivan, via her secretary, was told that these two things were going to happen. So it's curious that she doesn't.
Well, sorry, there's just one more. Please, Vanessa, actually, please come
in. Sorry, do you know, but before Noreen was confirmed as commissioner, I think she was like the Garda head of HR.
That's right. Yeah, so she was, you see, in 2008. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think did she not go from the HR division, leading the HR division, to assistant commissioner?
Yeah.
So she would have been very familiar with the policies and probably wrote some of those policies and procedures. But it seems to me an awful lot sort of escalated between sort of December 13 and July 2014, between the meeting in the car park and the disgusting remark. And
because that was all the penalty points. That was all the penalty points, that whole span. Yeah. Yeah,
it just seems to have got really intense that time. That they just brought everybody into the mix. That's what it seems to me.
And also, we also heard that the time of we've already heard that there was 4 or 5 people who say that Martin Callan said certain things to them, which is completely separate to Taylor, if you like. Mm-hmm. And, they are what they are. And, okay, the judge has to decide whether they were said or not. Okay. But Noreen O'Sullivan was at that PAC meeting, the one with the disgusting remark. She had a meeting with Martin Callan. She was sitting beside him, exactly. She was at the meeting afterwards where obviously the disgusting remark, we were told, was such a hot thing. And then not only that, but there was a meeting about what they were going to do after that meeting. And there was a discussion about, they were going to have this draft. So she had recommended that they were going to reach out to Morris, and there was a letter drawn up, and there was going to have a kind of a last-ditch effort to maybe stop Morris from going before the tribunal or before the PAC. And she maintains that she never knew that Martin Callan was going down to meet John McGuinness in the car park, even though the evidence of others like Andrew McLinden and all these other people who were in fairness, she wasn't there that day, that they all knew about it. It was completely open. It wasn't secret. Yeah. And yet she was on the phone to him at around 5:30 that evening when they would have been coming back from the meeting. And it doesn't mean that she definitely did, but it's just it is a curious. And I would, if anyone is interested, I would read back on her second appearance, and I would look at the questioning of Kathleen Leader, the barrister for the tribunal, because she really brought it home, the whole timeline of her just kind of not knowing anything. And also then when it comes to the Higgins Commission, she didn't know anything. No. She didn't know what her legal counsel were doing. And
but that was one of the remarks I made about Noreen, because I was there that day. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You could absolutely see where she had delegated her entire career everything was there. I don't know. That was my assistant. And that's exactly what you're saying there. I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't know. It's all somebody else's. It was all, and that's how she navigated her entire career up to the top. Now, I am told she's actually she was a very good cop, and when she had a source and information, she dished it out to the guys on the ground. But
somebody's lying all the time. There's always a he said, she said.
There's a lot of people lying. There are a lot of people lying.
The fact that there are lies being told all over the place, and these are the country's highest level of police.
And their words can put yourself and myself away in the special criminal court.
Exactly.
We had
but so the rest of the citizens of Ireland are required to.
Sorry, who's that saying?
Required to.
We had the Taoiseach of our country tell lies to a tribunal in the past. So if you want to set examples, I don't think lying to a tribunal is actually frowned upon. It's not seen as that.
Not be addressed, because it does seem to be an ongoing. I'm kind of a little bit of an outsider in this situation, because I drop in and out of Ireland, and it just looks like blatant lying. Somebody's lying. So how do you smoke that out? How do you?
I don't know, but if you look at this tribunal, has pretty much wrapped up in a 12 months. Would it be fair to say there's like a 12-month period? And last night we heard Moriarty went on for about 14 years.
14 years.
Yeah. Because lads just delayed it, they parked it, they acted the bollocks. I mean, they showed footage of Dennis O'Brien turning up with a cake to the tribunal's office, a birthday cake saying 13 years. And I remember my immediate instinct was, Jesus, you think a multi-millionaire or billionaire, whatever, I think it's better things to be doing than doing photo calls. Like, that's like something Michael O'Leary would do, getting a picture to sell flights like this.
Did they mention during for his 50th birthday he recreated, O'Donoghue's on Leeson Street?
Whose 50th birthday?
O'Brien.
Dennis O'Brien. I tried to know.
I didn't know that, but I'm waiting for it now. Tell us.
He recreated the interior of the O'Donoghue's and had it transported or built into the RDS for his 50th birthday. So it was like he could have the lads.
John, are you trying to make us feel bad now about us being out in Neil's house doing this?
No.
For your 50th.
Hang on, sorry, John. Are you saying Dennis O'Brien recreated Donoghue's pub in the RDS for his 50th?
Not O'Donoghue's. It's on Leeson Street. Hurricanes.
Okay.
Hurricanes.
Hartigans, where he.
That would have been very easy. A few benches with springs sticking up through them.
Why didn't you just go to Hartigans?
You try and recreate
and the lady behind the bar would have no cardigan on her.
Well, they're going
to. What does that mean? That's good. What's that got to do with anything? I mean,
but that's Hartigans, or as they'd say down there, Hartos.
But that's where the lads would kind of, meet.
That's actually where Michael Larry says they met after the Dublin Tyrone final.
Recreating a 50th birthday in a recreation of Hartigans.
Hartos.
Yeah, what's that got to do with the kind of the lying culture that needs to be that seems to be at the root of everything?
Well. Listen, the lads get away with it, and once they get away with it, once they'll do it again and again. We got into this because I remarked that this tribunal looks like it's going to wrap up within 12 months, whereas the Moriarty one went on for 14 years. And the same two people just dragged it out and took the piss out of it and did everything they could not to cooperate. I mean, the person they're sitting in front of is a High Court judge. And, sometimes they'll take Supreme Court, and then they'll take shreds off you one day, and the next day there is, I just know from experience.
Sorry, Vanessa.
Nonetheless, it's like this thing I was saying to you last week, Olga. There's a professional courtesy you're entitled to. I mean, it just seems clear that the Moriarty tribunal, they just took the piss all the way through. And I think Michael McDowell was one of the barristers actually for the tribunal. Well, sorry, John.
Yeah, I just wanted to, because I wanted to wrap this up with there was a piece by Colin Keenan in last Saturday's Irish Times, and it was about 4,000 words, and it seemed to be a reiteration of the guards summing up basically. And it seemed to be there was a lot of omissions. It said that there were many questions remain about this, or Sullivan Evans. But there were no questions in the piece, and it was simply a reiteration. It seemed to be an reiteration. You tell me, was it?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I guess what Colm Keane kind of did was he was trying to. I think what he was trying to do maybe was to highlight why certain public utterances were made about certain people when the tribunal now doesn't seem to have any evidence to back them up. I think that's kind of what he was trying to get at. But I think that, and I mean, it was lauded. A lot of people really liked the piece. But I think I felt personally that it had a lot of omissions. I think there was a lot of stuff that was just glossed over. The O'Higgins Commission was completely glossed over.
Yeah,
the business of a summary document. It was a letter from the Chief State Solicitor's office, which referred to the D allegation, Miss D or Mr. D, or the DPP's directions throughout it. It had so many problems and mistakes, errors, call it what you like. I mean, the judge even called it a charge sheet, I think, if I remember correctly, against McCabe.
Yeah.
So, and it was kind of, I felt the piece glossed over that pretty unfairly.
I think there was a lot of lip service in it, I think.
Well, we started.
Well, it just glossed. I just felt, there could have been more, perhaps, time. Maybe he was cut for time, maybe he was cut for space, but I just felt that there was a lot of stuff that was missed out.
There's other journalists as well tweeting, and like John Mooney at the Sunday Times has tweeted that, we don't know what's going to, the outcome of this will not be what you think it will be. And the point is, and I think
isn't there a question as well? Wasn't he said to have said something? Wasn't John Mooney said to have I don't want to repeat anything.
No, Superintendent.
He denies things.
Yeah, Superintendent Taylor named him as someone that he negatively briefed, but John Mooney denies this happened.
Yeah, but then he also said that
the celebrity solicitor mentioned John Mooney as well, or people from RTE that were.
Derek, we haven't got on to. I just want to on this point about. So, I feel that, like, regardless of what Jesuitical point of whatever, and what kind of outcome, the damage has been kind of done. I don't think anybody's been vindicated here at all, really. Like
Morris has.
Well, obviously, but I mean, to be perfectly honest, I don't know why they're so arrogant and seem so kind of
untouchable. They think they're untouchable.
You'll see that, but we've already seen enough, frankly, to do us like a lifetime. This stuff is really kind of evil. You guys are, read Michael Clifford's book and you see that, like, we were speaking about it today, Vanessa, Maurice McCabe slept on a board to grow 1/4 of an inch to meet the height requirement. He then was underweight. He was too light to join. It was
his dream job.
He wasn't related to anybody. He fought so hard to be a police officer. God, bless his naivety. But
no, but he still, look. I suppose Morris. Morris was a good call.
No, Vanessa, I'm not talking really about Vanessa. It's really, this is about. So when they're arrogant, when these guys are like on Twitter and going, you don't know the full, but the stuff we know, even if 1/10 of that is not true, even if 1/10 of that is true, that's enough. And it really, really doesn't look good. And I know you're saying journalism matters, but you should really trust them.
And I completely agree. Like, I think that there'll be, journalism. No, I think that's a great, John, and I don't want to cut across you. Sorry, we.
No, I'm done. I'm sorry.
But I was just going to say that I think that, in time, perhaps there'll be theses written on those transcripts. There'll be college courses, like the stuff that people who are interested in media, and not everyone is, but they're fascinating. Paul Reynolds, I would encourage people to read Paul Reynolds' evidence, Ray Burke's evidence.
Not Paul Williams.
There's so much to learn from them. If you're that way.
Well, I think, John, if you don't mind, I've commented about. I think that the last module has been, I suppose, maybe it may not have been as much an eye opener to me, but I think I do think the report's going to be very critical of journalism in Ireland, and whereas I've already seen that An Garda Síochána have started to change. They've redone their mission statement, they've redone their website, they've started this need to change, and they've effectively a new CEO coming in, and he's going to put his stamp on the organisation. But journalism doesn't seem to have started to change or improve at all. You would think that some people would have pulled their socks up along the way as soon as this was all coming out, because I don't want to name names, but I mean, some people have absolutely been found out to be complete puppets. You know, I think it's very sad, actually.
When Stephen was saying,
what's that, Dermot?
When Stephen was saying, how come they can get away with lying to a judge? It seems to be that they're not called on it by the media. It's just over.
No. They won't call each other out.
Again.
They won't call each other out. It's very sad.
Well, unfortunately, I suppose, there was a lot of people who were, I would have loved to have read, analysis every week by Justine McCarthy, or, listen to Philip Boucher-Hayes every Friday summing it up. And, they were witnesses, and Justine, so it was quite a weird. It was quite sorry, John, and John Mooney was writing about it, even though he was one of the people alleged to have been negatively briefed. So it was a very weird year for something so big to be reported.
Anything in court, we're then talking about it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, journalists on Twitter, we don't want to. Anyway.
I'm going to start following all these journalists, because you seem to be having all the fun, but then
well, no,
I'm not followers.
Vanessa, it's kind of difficult, Vanessa, because they do reinforce each other in such a sort of like
an echo chamber. You mean?
There's an echo chamber. I would say that there's a huge. Yeah. There are several echo chambers in Irish, kind of and I feel like an outsider, to be honest, because I've been outside for a long time. And I feel like there's a bunch of echo chambers in Ireland. And one of them is this kind of echo chamber of journalism. And you can't trust anything anymore. And you can't, because it's always somebody's lying. It's just what comes to the top all the time.
Yeah, but what I don't get with it all is that, I mean, it's just such a small market here. Like, we're all laughing at Michael Flatley here, but that guy is trousers what, 250 million from dancing.
Totally, man. Look at
that. You know what I mean? And then you have these guys there strutting around, and you saying they're echo chamber and they're patting each other in the back. I mean, is any of them even pulling down 100 grand a year?
No. Yeah, but Vanessa, come on. I mean,
No, but let's be real. No,
it's not about. No, Vanessa, please. I know you're a kind of celebrity accountant, but really, to understand you've got the value of things aren't just in prices, Well,
maybe not. But I mean, there's no point going around thinking you're John Pilger.
Yeah, well, but the financial reward shouldn't come into that at all. And who's going around thinking they're John Pilger anyway? But no,
I'm just remarking that we're protecting our sources, and it's only them on the internet. I
think it's more the sense of see, journalism is a really insecure profession, and it attracts really insecure people. It just does, whether they're insecure because the job's insecure, or whether they're insecure.
They're naturally paranoid.
Yeah, but they're also needy and very, 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 very sensitive and thin-skinned. I mean, the most people we've had legal threats from profession-wise would be journalists, since we've done this 8 years. In fact, journalists, rather more than Dennis, have threatened us. Even the guy, the guy from The Guardian, like sort of, I know Paul Tweed. So these are really, really prickly, sensitive to a degree that, and also because they're standing in Irish life. They're below law, and they're kind of like, are they a trade? Is it a profession? Who knows? And it's
it is
quite simple.
The The way they go on, you swear it was a vocation.
Yeah, and then you've got
I'm not sure about that. You know, that's the thing.
No, but they're treated like lords in RTE.
There's a little bit. There's many levels to this Irish media kind of conundrum, and it's bizarre to unravel from the outside. Yesterday, I had a beer, 2 Guinness, with one of our most famous hacks, and you know,
want to drop the name, or are we doing?
No, well, I mean, but it doesn't matter because he's a hack. He's our biggest hack, and it's like I don't know. It's just I just see it as a bubble. I don't see anything else. I really see it as a bubble from the outside, and I'm a promoter that has to dip into this bubble every now and again. And in the end, once you kind of get too far in there, you just end up that it's just
the goldfish bowl.
Yeah, goldfish bowl. And this is only a 6 million people country. I spent the last 5 years before I ended up being here in a 200 million people country with Globo, the biggest media company in the world, with 200 million people watching telenovelas, watching soap operas, and watching what they do. The most it's a complete. And then before that, Spain, and it's almost like Ireland becomes a microcosm of all the issues of the world. It's like, because it's a tiny one. It's only 6 million people live here, so our media is only that small as well. And then our corruption is only that small as well. And it is incredibly curious to see it played out on these different scales. And Olga, the disclosure tribunal, it's just a minefield, or I don't know, it's a labyrinth of lies, and he said, she said, and my God, to be so immersed in it is it's not. I have to say that I admire you that you can kind of do it again and again. Do you see the end of this particular tribunal?
Oh, well, it's over. I mean, at least this part is over. There is another module in regards to other Garda whistleblowers, and Garda Nikki Kyo, I think, would be the main one for that. But no, it's over now. So we'll have a report in October, hopefully, Stephen.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
oh, sorry, beg your pardon, sorry.
No, but is it over? Like, is it like does the stuff that came up with this tribunal? No, does the stuff that came up with this tribunal morph into another tribunal? Where does this tribunal go next?
Will there be a tribunal into a tribunal?
Yeah, no, but we'll have the report, and then I suppose we'll all have to do a Fine Gael, where we all go to a hotel and go through the report. Do you know the way they have their the other way, the main parties, they go to like a hotel for a few days and they set their agenda for the year. We'll have to do that, John, when we get there.
The
Judge Carton return.
The thinking.
The thinking. That's what it is. The tinking. We'll have a tinking down there, Carla.
Just very, very quickly, Olga, do you want to share the
papers?
The papers, yeah.
And Michael Flatley's on the top of the examiner.
Black. What? Now you're blocking our view of the Michael Flatley publicity.
Am I?
Vanessa, move out of the way. Move to the left. There you go. Blackbird.
Okay.
Blackbird.
Bird singing in the dead of night.
Can you?
Sorry, John. It's just just getting it there now. Here we go. So here we go. Are they showing there? So here we have the examiner. So that's a picture of Emma McMahon. So I think everyone probably heard she was on the radio this morning, and the cancer spread to her brain. And the insert picture there is of her in her red gown. Remember last week when she was in the High Court and she was awarded 7.5 million, I think, was it? Yeah.
She was very striking.
Yeah, she looked incredible.
But it also says, sorry, just on that settlement, it also looks like the entire cervical smear, it's going to go into probably close to 2 billion.
You're joking. That's what I wondered about that, yeah?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because there's 35 people. Is it 35 people now suing? I think
but that's going to go up to probably around 250. probably 300. And then there's the costs, because the lawyers are going to ride this now as well.
And so, I mean, who is directly liable for this? Who messed this up? Who?
Well, you know what? Actually, it's really interesting that you bring that up, given that we were just talking about tribunals and public, because I really hope that Simon Harris does deliver to Vicky Phelan the commission investigation. That's what it's been called, but we know that commission investigations are in private. But she has asked specifically for it to be in public. And sorry, now I hope I'm not getting anything wrong. It's something else, and it has been nailed down the last few days. But I think there was Vicky Phelan had asked again just maybe 4 days ago. But I really hope that it is in public. I mean, Charlton has shown what can be done in a relatively, you know.
You just don't want a live tweet again, Olga.
No, I'd be very happy to live tweet from Vicky Phelan. Yeah, but just to say there on the left, so there's a story there. It was broke this morning. Review. So the 3,000 smears haven't started yet. So sorry, the review of the 3,000 smears hasn't started yet. Fergal Bowers had the story this morning. But I think Justine McCarthy actually wrote about this 2 weeks ago. Remember, John, we were saying, and Vicky Phelan mentioned that on radio this morning. But I think the Department of Health officials said
led with it as if it was like a brand new story.
But I think a Department of Health officials said that it was made clear to the government that it wouldn't be done by the time the Scally report.
Yeah.
So
done by August. Alan Kelly said that today. But could you just go down to the Times Ireland edition?
Sorry. Yeah.
There's a warning after teen dies from steroid use. Any thoughts on that from the panel?
What's that?
Any warning after teen dies from steroid use? Any?
So easy to buy them online now, and just like all the gyms seem to be, it's just passing around like Smarties, unfortunately.
Totally.
But it's the obsession with bodies,
No, but they can vouch for the availability, and people are. There are gyms, around the country that's the gym where you're going to go and you're going to build up, and that's where you're going to get your steroids.
Okay. It's funny, I have a young relative that was watching Love Island and now wants the Love Island body and wants to get a personal trainer. So that's
look, your man there next to you.
Who's that?
Who's that?
Dermot?
No, John's a great Love Island follower.
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about the personal trainer, Vanessa. I was going because I'm next door, no?
Vanessa confused. Vanessa confused Love Island with Fantasy Island, the 1970s, the 80s series starring the person of restricted height.
We're the eight row.
And Jab was able to correct me and put me right in line and who was who. I tell you, he knows them all of it. He knows them all.
Sorry.
Martin in what? Prickly Attack. Is that what that says?
Yeah, so Micheál Martin. So he was asked, basically, he was in Limerick today and he was asked by David Raleigh, or he was asked by journalists there, I think, about Riker's comments in New York. You probably already talked about this, I'm guessing. But, so he basically said that he's a prickly man with an authoritarian streak.
Well, have they conference today?
Yeah, so Micheál Martin has basically said he's a prickly man with an authoritarian streak, and I think he also said that
kettle there.
Please, Vanessa, blasphemy for our religious readers, for our
watchers,
viewers, for our guys who just don't like people saying that word,
Pot and kettle.
Shall I read out his quotes? Does anyone want to know? So he just basically said that Mr. Martin said he agreed that people can be critical of the media, but when Leo Varadkar said he sympathises with Donald Trump's position on the media, I drew a deep breath. I said, hang on a second, some of the attacks on Trump on the media have been unacceptable in my opinion. He has used, so he's talking about Leo obviously, Leo Varadkar has fed off the Irish media. I would have thought most people would say he got very beneficial media treatment for the last 12 months. He has used the Irish media, and he would have been notorious as a leaker, providing information to the journalists who he now accuses of being gossipers around Minister House. I mean to say he was on first name terms with them all, and he has turned on them at a private gathering in New York. And then for some reason he had a pop at RT Investigates.
But is that not just like Leo trying to use the media to make him look like he's anti-media? So he's whole fake news that Trump uses. So when it comes to people voting, they'll think, well, they can trust Leo because he doesn't trust the media. No,
it's a Jedi mind trick, and it'll work as well. But I have to say that what Micheál Martin said there was very quite well put, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think it is. I mean, the thing about Leo is that he is the and everyone else has said it, I'm sure, but he's the one who, you know, I don't think we've had any Taoiseach like him when it comes to the media. Well, in my lifetime, because
he's an entire media creation. He's a sock guy, the
dishwasher guy.
You know, I
the
think
going for the run in the park guy.
He's the welfare or cheaters guy.
The Twitter account should have told you this. Campaign for Leo. That is a hashtag on its own. I've noticed a load of other politicians now have used that campaign for.
It's his Twitter account.
Yeah, but the others are following suit. But that account, it's not like Leo Varadkar Taoiseach or Taoiseach at Taoiseach. It's at Campaign for Leo. It's still his Twitter account. That was like before, you know, he was even
anything, yeah.
He was even running, yeah.
Are all the Fine Gaels not gone at Campaign for whatever?
Now they've gone. More and more have gone. Like Kate.
Leo Varadkar. I mean, he feeds stories to Barry Egan. I mean, how manipulative of the media.
What about Trump's moves here? And is that
balloon? Steve, this is the balloon that's going to fly over London next week when Trump is in the capital. So the mayor of London gave permission for this balloon to fly over. So it's basically him in a nappy throwing his toys out of the pram, I think. Well, no, is that a phone? Twitter, I guess it is. It's a phone.
On Twitter. Depicting his moves as well, which I think is very ageist. A very ageist display, and the fact that London City would attach themselves to such an ageist situation is horrible.
Yeah, it's. Then with the word prickly next to it, it's a very odd front page.
We get close to 50, you know, the tits drop.
Well, it's menopause. It's the male menopause. That's when the male menopause is when your boobs come in, Stephen.
Look at Blackbird behind you. Every time you appear, Vanessa, Blackbird appears in the background, and I don't think there's any boobs on that dude.
It's not finished production yet. He might give me a cameo.
Nice. Okay. Finally, Alan, quickly over to you. How is the weather at right now?
I can give you a live update from the field in Tullow.
I mean, would you have us down? Would you have us down to do a show from the field in Tullow?
Oh yeah, no problem at all. The Frost Hollow. It's currently 12.8 degrees with an east-southeast breeze.
Southeast.
What's the wind chill factor? What does it really feel like?
Yeah, what does it really feel
like? Feels like 13. Unlucky for some.
Come here. Did you any surf watches? Or, you know, for kite surfing or anything like that?
No, but funny you mentioned that. The Irish Hang Glider and Paraglide Association used my webcam to see what the sky looks like. So to see, is it worth a while heading down to Mount Leinster?
That's brilliant.
I mean, you don't want to be completely mercenary about it, but there's got to be some money in this for you. We got to get you away from IT and into this full time.
Is there not? I was going to ask. Maybe discuss this. Yeah.
Tries to monetize all of us. Olga, myself, he tried to monetize us all. So
yeah, one of my bosses, Michaeli Nealon, is always saying that to me. He's always like, "You have to monetize this," and because my Facebook page has more followers than the Black Knight Facebook page, which is a bit of a sore point. But he always says, "Come back to me when you figure out how to monetize it," which is true. But I'm not looking to monetize it.
But I mean, the amount of information you give out is incredible, and it's like the amount of work and effort and time, and so generous with it, you know.
And the Norwegian guy is getting all the coke and the women, and he's getting he's out every.
He's like the GAA of meteorology. He's doing it.
There's plenty of money in the GAA. It just doesn't get to the right people.
Oh, Jesus! Another one.
Alan's like with the players. The Norwegian guys like Marty Morrissey. They're like.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway,
just for the love of it, Olga. Just for the love of it.
Oh, it's brilliant! It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
I'll get. Alan, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we'll have you on whenever you like, really.
Whenever the weather gets bad. Let's get
As soon as there's a snowflake spot.
Is there anything with this new bread index?
New bread index, yeah. You go from the white pan in Storm Emmett to the burger bun in the summer. So depending on whichever. It's like that old story. I'll tell you very quickly the joke about the native Indians gathering the timber. And there's a TV station somewhere in America that says it's going to be a real bad winter, you know. And this goes on and says, oh, it's going to be the worst winter for the last 10 years. And then it says worst winter for the last 20 years. And they keep gathering the timber, you know. And eventually somebody says to the TV presenter, why do you think it's going to be a real bad winter? He says, because the native Indians have never gathered as much timber. And somebody says to the native Indians, why are you gathering so much timber? Because they keep saying on telly it's going to be the worst winter ever. So, you know,
the vicious circle.
Yeah.
That's I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Probably wasn't worth the
Oh,
length.
here we go. It's shout out.
Dermot, from Mission Control. Have we lost Dermot?
No, everyone's going to sleep. All his perseverance with the tribe and high temperature,
put them to sleep.
Blood pressure by the end was complimented.
Oh,
But even those
They
people,
felt
I
sympathy
think
with the
generally
redheads.
everyone's.
the Americans. What about the Americans?
Is everyone happy? They're happy though, Dermot, in the mosh pit. I mean, it can get sweaty down there. I know, a bit crazy.
Yeah. So,
They seem to be just partying amongst themselves this
same as
evening.
usual.
Yeah, they hurt each other. It's terrible.
I'm gonna
See, I think they're missing the shift jokes. I think.
I hear.
Well, Dermot, thank you so much. We're going to have to sort out the lack of gravity and in the orbit.
strings. But
It looks fantastic. But I think the bandwidth, we're going to have to lose one of those computers.
Ooh.
They're all off. It's all just pictures.
strings all down.
It's like he's on another planet.
So, Dermot, thanks so much. Stephen,
No problem.
Garland, the man from Del Monte, thank you very much for joining us.
Night, guys.
Brilliant. Can you just show viewers your hair again, Stephen?
My hair.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's gonna go
Amazing.
far. Yeah, look at that.
Wow, look at
You like up looking like John Ryan, yes.
Well, I was getting really, I was getting a bit concerned because I consider this a bit of a Pete Sampras.
Yeah. I would too, but it's still impressive.
It's still not John Ryan,
That's
but
class.
you're getting there.
It's not the look that I wanted, and so it's going to come off, I think, tomorrow, and that will be my third. And apparently, that's the chemo moment where you start to get your real hair back, and the frizz goes. It gets defrizzed.
It's incredible. Just to remind
You basically have baby fluff at the moment, and it's all.
Well, it was like this is 3 haircuts in, so I don't know if you can see that, but that's what.
And look, no bald patches, no grey.
Well, I've got an ad, or I've got not an ad, but I've got a video on my YouTube channel, which is my cure for baldness is get chemo. You know. But what I did was I kind of massaged and kind of spoke gently to my hair for the first couple of weeks, for a long time, for a couple of months, massaging coconut oil and castor oil in. So I don't know. I lived my life with
It's incredible.
Yeah, but I live my life and I take it's all over, man. You know, I don't know what you're looking at in the back.
You have to have a word. Stop it.
But yeah, I was lighter and I was heading one way.
You were.
Yeah, and
Well, I noticed early on, Stephen, there was comment in the chat bit about how you just looked fantastic.
Well, I just feel strong. You've asked me this before, and it's like I feel good again, man. Look I'm going on European tour. I've never done that.
Do you need any, what do they call the girls? What do they call them? Liggers, is it? No.
PAs or just groupies?
No. Groupies, yeah.
No, we don't have groupies anymore, I don't think, do we?
No, I'm too old to be a groupie anyway.
But
They
Stephen,
have groupies, man. There's always groupies. That's the thing. Every time. There's always groupies.
Are you going anywhere nice?
Yeah, I'm going through. Well, I'm going to the Fringe. Then I'm going down to London. Then I'm going into Belgium and Holland, and then down to ending up in Barcelona and Madrid. So, yeah, I coordinate this shit for other people, and I decided, well, look at man, I've got a show, so why shouldn't I coordinate one for myself? And I know people all along this route, and really, it's also I'm calling it while. I don't know if you remember, Phil Collins had his Not Dead Yet tour.
Yeah.
He's been dead for me for years. I don't know, but he came out of the grave, Lazarus style, and came back with a Not Dead Yet tour.
But he was doing it like you. He was sort of playing drums sideways and all that.
Yeah.
He was.
We could do a Broadsheet on tour show there in one of those towns.
One of those countries.
Cool.
Yes, I'm doing a Mad Alive. The Mad Alive tour.
Ali could do the weather.
Can you show the flyer, Stephen?
Well, this is just I'm in the backstage. I'm in the backstage on July the 20th, and that's where it all starts, which is a preview for Edinburgh show. You know,
Fantastic.
Edinburgh venue for 7 days.
Stephen went to Moscow
That's the 28th.
to get stem cells.
July 28th in the backstage, which is a beautiful theatre down in Longford, as part of Longford's Arts Festival. There's another festival on here this weekend, but this is the Arts Festival.
All right, now, Stephen, tell everybody where the backstage theatre is.
Backstage theatre, Farney Hoogan.
And what else?
And it's beautiful theatre. It's 200-seater. And it's really, really nice. It's a bit intimidating. It's in 20 something days. 20. What date is it now? It's about 25 days time. So I've got to be busy.
The address is Longford Slashers.
Longford Slashers. Yeah, it's in the same club and all that.
Well,
I'm looking forward to it, man, because it's a beautiful theatre. They had Longford TEDx there last week.
Oh, wow.
The only TEDx to be in the Midlands of Ireland was there last week, and it was a really good thing for me to go to, because I'm going to be I'm an audiovisual show.
That's the Mad TEDx, isn't it?
Huh?
It's the Mad TEDx.
The Mad TEDx.
No,
TED Uncensored.
The TEDx Uncensored, the Longford one, absolutely.
This is great. This is brilliant. But Stephen, it's now 12:30. We've 12 with half an hour over.
I know, so there's nobody left out.
The weatherman. The weatherman.
Or there.
Stephen, thank you so much.
Okay.
And we're going to be in Longford. Some of us are going to get down to your show in Longford.
Definitely.
No problem. Anyway, the idea is I'll do this little bit of a tour around
Europe,
my European tour. Then we're going global, you know. But then we'll come back to Longford, or we'll come back to Ireland at some stage, because.
Oh yeah, don't forget your roots. You know, a bit like Big Boiler.
This tiny little country. Sometimes, you know, this little land of 6 million people. Sometimes I have to drop in to find out, to know what's going on here, or else I'll just lose track completely. And I do believe that's a thing. My wife is Brazilian. She spent, all her life. She's Brazilian. Spent all her life in Brazil. And sometimes she just goes, this is like a 6 million. This is a suburb of Sao Paulo, you know.
In Longford, Granard,
Ireland, the whole bleeding country, you know. It's like 6 million people is nothing.
It's tiny.
Sometimes we get a little bit. We do punch above our weight, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But don't get too carried away with ourselves. That's my one. Thing will always be, that's my basis. Yeah.
Well, it's always inspiring, Stephen. Thank you so much for joining us, and we're all going to go down to Longford, and Alan's going to have a word to you about
down there, because anything can happen. We're like a microclimate here; it gets really hot.
We're going to get Alan down there, and he's going to.
We'll need the dress code for a start. Anyway.
There you go. Alan's man, Carlo, tiny counties. He's my kind of dude, you know.
No, I tell you one thing about Carlo. It's always damp down there.
Thank you to Vanessa. Thank you to Vanessa, who never forgets her roots, or at least Marco doesn't. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for your contributions tonight.
God, John.
We've lost Dermot. Okay.
Yeah.
The Taliban.
Speed it up.
Make it another.
I'm the Taliban.
Okay. And Olga, thank you so much for all the work at the Disclosure Tribunal.
No problem.
Can I do a shout out?
Enjoy the weather, people. Please do.
Yeah, I'm loving the weather.
It's going to be fucking hot.
Just I would have worn a bikini top. I would have worn a bikini top, but John made me put on one of his shirts.
We got another 10 days, they told us at RT, and they're the people who long-term predicts.
Yeah, but see, you know, we don't listen. We were on expert now. We were on expert now. Come here. I was reading on the board there about. Did I get this right? Pride, Belfast Pride.
Oh yeah.
John, would you take that away? Because
Belfast
he calls me Nessie, and in Belfast years ago they used to call me Hervé. And in Cork, they used to call me Nessie, so I wondered, does he know people? But anyway, John, you take it away.
Well, SOQ is a commentary on the site. It stands for Some Old Queen, I think, or Same Old Question. But
or Same Old Queen or something.
Some Old Queen has asked me to remind everybody in Belfast or going to Belfast that the Belfast Pride is on this week, which is one of the few occasions where Protestants and Catholics shout at each other, but then are they? I don't know. There's something. What was the point that's SOQ made?
I just think it's one of those days where they shout at each other, but then they go to a cliff and they all jump off together. And I think it's Belfast Pride, and we'll figure it out because I think that's the August Bank holiday, and the Waterford crowd didn't get back to us about that festival. So Belfast, we're coming.
It's not this weekend then, no.
No, I think it was the August Bank holiday. Stephen's show is the weekend before, and then there's Belfast Pride. So yes, if you're willing to have us, we're here. We'll go.
Yeah. Okay. So, could you give a shout out to a downright bitter and angry cultural protest march in Belfast soon? It'll involve Catholics and Protestants shouting at each other and nobody listening. But sure, that's socialising Queens for you. Many times, because it is from it. Many times has Northern Ireland come close to the cliff edge, except this time we shall jump. Be part of history. Come join Belfast Pride. And it's the 4th of August. Sorry, I thought it was this weekend. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, we can figure something out.
Right, your man.
Follow me on Twitter, and we'll figure something out.
Maybe plug it closer.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night, Stephen.
Stephen. Good night, Olga. Good night,
Good night, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Everyone.